Orange Lounge Radio. With your hosts, Dark Sakura, Sky, and Loki.
Tonight's show is brought to you by the letter M as we interview two of the creators of a multi-genre retro game named Starr Mazer, and you too can help see the tales of Brickstone would come to life. We'll take your questions in chat as well as your comments, feedback, and calls right now on the show where every gamer has a voice.
Orange Lounge Radio.
Hello, my friends out there on the internet, and welcome back to another week of the show where every gamer has a voice. It is Orange Lounge Radio, episode number 587 for this February 15th, 2015. My name is Rob Roberts, also known online as Sky on Twitter and so forth. With you guys here live at the Voice of Geeks Network, vognetwork.com. To talk about video games, gaming culture, and the gamer lifestyle with my co-hosts here in studio. Say hello to Dark Sakura or Jamie Summers.
Yo.
How you doing?
I'm here.
You're here.
I'm full of egg custard.
Egg custard.
And taro milk tea.
We were talking about ice cream before the show, which is always a great conversation to have, I believe.
Yes, it's not all that great if you don't actually have the ice cream.
That is true.
So I might have to make a pit stop on the way home.
You know, it's no secret that Dark Sakura and I are very fond of Pinkberry frozen yogurt, and they don't pay us to say that. We genuinely do. But
if they wanted
like
to pay us, we wouldn't say no.
Or especially in free yogurt. But I was telling Dark Sakura, we were talking about that a little bit, and then she had brought up the egg custard, and I said, "Did you know there's a creamery place right near that uses like egg custard?" And Dark Sakura was like, "Really?" With little stars in her eyes.
There was a place though that my friend told me about that went out of business that was a frozen custard place.
Interesting.
And I wish I've had stuff from there before. I don't remember the name of it. But frozen custard is actually very good.
Yum, yum, delicious. Make me hungry for dessert. Also, definitely one of our food connoisseurs here on Orange Lounge Radio. Say hello to Techmaster Loki.
If by food connoisseur you mean food carnivore, then yes.
That's 3 weeks in a row from your new sandwich place.
I'm probably not going to get it next week. It just sounded good. I was really hungry because I hadn't had lunch.
It's all good.
So I got the meatball sub at this time, the large meatball sub instead of the small meatball sub.
Food's important. It's a 3-hour show we do here live at the Voice of Geeks Network every Sunday night at 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern.
It was either that or I was going to get crazy bread from Little Caesars with a ludicrous amount of cheese on it, but I didn't stop there. I may do that next week, but we'll see. I don't know.
All right. That's fair. That works. All right. We are, of course, here live with you guys. And if you are listening live, you can participate with our show by heading over to the chat room over at live.vognetwork.com. Some folks in chat, it looks like a lot of folks talking about the snow in Boston because at the end of Bobby's show, because, of course, we are on live at VOG right after Bobby Blackwolf, he was talking about PAX East and Boston and all that. And some of us that are heading out to PAX East, which, by the way, yes, I will be heading out to PAX East. I'll talk more about that later. But if you're going to be at the show, I will be there. Sadly, Loki and Dark Sakura will not be there, but I will. But now I have a legit concern. My California never see snow, but is going to have to go to Boston. And I'm hoping this winter-mageddon that's been going on out there, I'm really hoping it lets up in the next few weeks because I don't know. I remember I went to the very first PAX East, actually, back in, 2010? I think it was the very first PAX East. And it was snowing a little bit then. So it's not like, okay, I'm not going to die if it snows, but please, I'd like my flight to get in and out on time. Thank you. Be very nice. Appreciated. We'll see.
Get in and on time, but when it lands, it'll start doing, fucking, drift racing.
Don't say that. Oh my God, don't say that. All right.
It's like Wangan Midnight once you hit that.
Well, if they play Eurobeat, it might be okay.
That's the only acceptable way. We're gonna need to make a special landing. Hit it.
Just JetBlue have like that on one of their satellite radio things, This is my heartbeat.
That'd be awesome. That should really be on all flights. Takeoff and landings, it's just need the music that will go with that.
Havoc978 in our chat room over at live.vognetwork.com says, prepare for that wind chill, Rob. I don't even know if I have a jacket sufficient enough. Keep in mind, I live in Sacramento, land of 110-degree summers sometimes.
It's 77 degrees today.
It's like a May Day today.
I'm like, what's up with that?
Yeah, not like an emergency, but an actual day in May.
Like, stop it,
yeah.
Nature.
And we need water. Like, bring the snow over here. We're in a, super drought.
Well, we're not really in a super drought. We did have all that rain like a few days ago.
Yeah, but that barely put it down. That was like a notch in the bed. That's all it was.
We just split the difference.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, we could talk about the weather and food for 3 hours, but we want to talk about games. And we have an interview actually live on tonight's show. Very excited to welcome two of the team members, Don and Auston from Starr Mazer. We're going to be talking to them in about 15 minutes. But if you want to check out their game, they are on Kickstarter in the last few days trying to raise the funds to make this game happen. And I got to say, it looks really cool. I wouldn't have invited them on the show if the game didn't kind of meet the standards we're looking at here. You can check this out online. It's starrmazer.com. That's StarrMazer.com. And it's kind of like part point and click, part shoot 'em up, but it's not two games in one. It's like a blended experience. We're going to talk to
Guardian Legend.
Well, why do you think this might have tickled a soft spot for me? Maybe a little, but no. When you think point and click, though, point and click more like a LucasArts type game.
Well, yeah, I understand that.
So it's not quite the Guardian Legend, but definitely was hitting a soft spot there. But we'll talk to them about that, and you can ask them questions as well in our chat room in about 15 minutes. We'll get to that. But I want to get to our kickoff topic first and then see if we have enough time for our gaming weeks. Kickoff topic tonight. I don't know if you guys saw this going around the internet and you guys in chat that are participating live with the show, but there was a rumor over the weekend that started on 4chan of all places. And, the minute you hear that something starts there, there's instantly like this big bag of salt just falls from the sky and is like, here's your big grain of salt, right? So the rumor was that Rayman is going to be a playable DLC character in Super Smash Bros., which is not something we haven't heard before. We've heard rumors that, Ubisoft wanted Rayman in the game. There's a Rayman trophy. So it wasn't like one of those characters where like, this is outside all, plausibility what could possibly happen, right? So there's your giant salt that falls from the sky, and it's like, all right, well, sure, we got some pictures, but that shit can be photoshopped, whatever. Well, then a video comes out, and the video actually shows the character select screen and moving through the different characters and landing on Rayman. So Rayman shows up, and the whole thing like it's like straight out of the game, right? And so the video is pretty convincing. And I think I even said on Twitter, I said, all right, if this is fake, this is one of the best fakes that's ever been done.
Yeah, but see...
Well, guess what? Yeah. Guess what, y'all? It was fake.
Of course it was fake, because if it was real, they would show you going from the title screen to actually playing a match with Rayman and showing off all the cool stuff instead of like, see, here's an icon on the screen. See, here's me moving to the... No, it's always fake when it's that shit. It's never legit if it's,
Did you watch the video of the guy who put it all together?
Yeah, I watched that. That's cool.
It was, I have such mixed feelings about this, and that's why I bring this to the table, because certainly there's that element of, you little shit. Why did you start a fake rumor for the sake of starting a fake rumor?
It's fine. We played a joke, and it was over within like a day, so that's cool.
But at the same token, though, you're like, wow, he put a lot of work into this, and it was really convincing.
You've seen all the ones they've done for Five Nights at Freddy's, and even back in the day on for EGM, we had all the Street Fighter ones, and it's nothing new.
Yeah. Oh, man. I remember, yes, we were younger.
The jokes are fun.
We were convinced that Ermac was legit, and then...
Ermac was legit.
Ed Boon was like, let's make it legit.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Why not? So there it is. Looking in our chat room over at live.vognetwork.com, SSGO100 Matt says, rumor coming from 4chan, that should be the start and end to any rumor. Look, it's not that I disagree with you, but it's like the monkeys on a typewriter typing Shakespeare.
Yeah, let's put it this way. If there's ever going to be a rumor about leaked DLC or something like that, they will fucking show you the character, being played in the game. They're not going to just show you the title screen, because that's all they have. It's not like, well, that should be enough, They will show you everything, because it makes for a better story if you can see, like, here's the moves they has, and here's, the final smashes they has, and that kind of stuff. So that's why, like, when I immediately saw something, I'm like, that's not real. It looks cool, but that's not real.
Did you believe it at all? Be honest.
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
Because I didn't know that it came from 4chan, but I saw it on NeoGAF, and I was like, well, that's not real.
Did Now I didn't catch this because I only saw it on Twitter and places like that, but did any big websites actually pick it up and run with it?
Because everybody ran it as like it's a rumor. Yeah.
Okay, so everybody ran it as a rumor because I thought maybe part of the whole experiment was to, and to be fair, I didn't watch the entire video. I wasn't going to spend 20 minutes looking at how this guy faked everybody out, but I kind of skimmed through it a little bit, and I was like, maybe part of it is because I've seen people do this before where they kind of want to test gaming media and see like how far will that copy paste journalism go, type of thing. And so I thought maybe that was part of it. It
gives them ideas for DLC. I mean,
well, I guess maybe that's one final question for me to ask on this whole thing is: do you think, in spite of all this stuff going on, do you think that Rayman could actually end up being DLC?
I don't see why they
Super
couldn't.
Smash
I
Brothers?
mean, depends on what the relationship with Ubisoft is with Nintendo currently, because I know at one time, that they were pretty buddy, especially with the launch of the Wii, or the Wii U. Well, I should say even the Wii, because they're pretty supportive of the Wii as well. But Rayman was going to be a strong reason why you would need to buy that system, but I don't know. They've kind of backed away from that now, so I don't know. I could see them doing it, I guess, but I'm sure they've got plenty of ideas for DLC characters.
Yeah, true.
And who knows how many DLC characters are they going to do, and if they're going to do any beyond Mewtwo, I guess.
All right. Going to our chat room again over at live.vognetwork.com. SSG100 Matt says, knowing how the internet tends to overreact to stuff like this, I'm not shocked that this guy who made this isn't getting hacked and sent death threats.
It's because it was Rayman, and not a lot of people give a shit about Rayman. If it was like Solid Snake or something like that, then maybe.
I don't know. You don't know Extrafer over on. Well, I mean, you do know Extrafer very well over on Horde House, but I have to hear him talk about Rayman an awful lot. I think he was legit disappointed at the news. So we'll see. Anyhow. ADFSAD, this is the name, says 4chan is where the entire SSB Wii U roster originally leaked. So, it is that whole thing where sometimes, I guess for lack of a better term, heightened anonymity of that forum does lend itself to being, if you're going to go leak some information, it might be the place to do it. Not that I would ever endorse, but I'm just saying the heightened anonymity makes it probably alluring for people that want to go spill the beans on things, right?
I guess.
Yeah, a little bit. So let's see. Tiger Claw in chat over at live.vognetwork.com says Rayman in Smash Brothers would make sense because he seems like the type of character that would fit in. Yeah, I do agree with that. He's like a platformer. He's kind of the mascot of another company. Like you have Sonic for Sega. You have Mega Man, which maybe isn't the mascot for Capcom, but it's definitely one of their most well-known faces. Rayman would make a lot of sense in the game, except for that whole difficult relationship right now with Ubisoft and Nintendo. We're not really sure, is there good feelings still there, or is there still a lot of but we did get the trophy, so that shows that there's something going on there. So anyhow, and lastly, SSG100 Matt says, according to Screw Attack, Ubisoft is going to make a statement on this hoax on Tuesday. Why would Ubisoft want to make a statement on the hoax?
Because they own Rayman?
I suppose, yeah, but why would they make an announcement of an announcement? That's weird to me. Why would they say, we're not going to say anything about it today, but we're going to say something about it Tuesday? Is that because the legal department has President's Day off? Is that...
They may be, the whole company may have that day off or something.
Well, yeah, but
they're being French.
They're in U.S., but...
I guess.
They're being French.
All right, I guess we'll chalk it up to that. All right, we are going to have some of the guys from Starr Mazer, Austin, and Don here momentarily, but we have a few minutes. So let's get into our gaming weeks and the types of video games that we have been playing this week. And before we get into games, I want to address this comment as well. Akuma JP in our chat room over at live.vognetwork.com says, Rob sounds dry, like something's wrong with my voice tonight. Yeah, I am my voice is a little bit hoarse tonight because... even though I retired, and I've talked about this on the show before, I was hosting Cult Cinema for many, many years, hosting events and so forth. Even though I retired in October, I actually ended up hosting a show last night because my successor had a emergency type of scenario come up. I don't want to spill all her details, but she couldn't do it. So they asked me very nicely, could you please show up and do this? And I'm like, of course, I'll, if I just have to show up, do my thing and not performing or anything, I'll go. But since I was yelling, getting a crowd hyped, a crowd of 500 people nonetheless, My voice is a little hoarse today because I really strained it last night, as I sometimes do at these events. Yeah. So, there you go.
You're hoarse.
All right. From horses to gaming week. Stark Sakura, how was your gaming week?
Flom.
Oh, this was the game you talked about last week that your teacher had released on iOS?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a shooter. Mm-hmm. It can get kind of crazy if you almost bullet hell moments in there, not like that bad, but really hard to dodge. It's got great music, great graphics in it. A lot of work went into the game, and it's just super addicting. So if people have not gotten it yet, it's FLOMM, Flom. Go get it on iOS. It's out for iPad and iPhone. Do the thing. Get it because I said so. And I'm trying to get Steve to show up.
Yeah, we are going to try to get him on the show in a future week, right? To give us all the pitch on the game and why we should check it out. The concept sounds really interesting, so I'm piqued. I will tell you that.
It's kind of fun shooting number 2 pencils and junk mail. Mm-hmm. So, on top of that, I've been playing some Dragon Age. I've been mostly writing Dragon Age because I'm actually 5 chapters ahead in my fic, and people have really wanted to read it, so I'm actually going to be wrapping it up soon. And I guess I have to play Final Fantasy tonight so I can get like hearts from my chicken. Chicken hearts. Yum.
Yes. Today's the last day of the Valentine's Day event in Final Fantasy 14. Or Valentione, or whatever they call it in the game.
The thing.
They changed the name a little bit.
The stuff in the thing that does stuff in things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Cool. I'm going to break order here a little bit, and I'm going to go next so I can set up some other things while Loki does his gaming week. But for my gaming week, I touched Final Fantasy 14 today, which is newsworthy because I actually really haven't been playing a lot of it for about 2 weeks. But I did log in today to do just what Jamie was talking about there, to get my Chocobo, the special little Valentine's barding that you can get for the Chocobo. I wanted to do that. Been playing an awful lot of Diablo 3. Season 2 started on Friday. Which, if you don't know what the seasons are, it's only on the PC version. It's not on the console version because the console version isn't always online and it's already been hacked and item duped and all that. So in the PC version, which is always online, it allows them to do these more like leaderboard-oriented events, which the seasons are basically a way you can start a character that will, everybody starts on this day, and then the season runs for like 3 to 4 months. And you try to get, you can get achievement points to run that. You can try to see what greater rift you can accomplish in what kind of time. There's different like conquests, which are just basically like really high level, think like gold and platinum trophy level achievements that you can achieve in the game, and they're all limited to seasons. And by participating, you get special cosmetic rewards that you only get if you play in that special period. And then the cool thing is, any character you make during the season will roll into your general pool when it's over, and any experience that you get on your 70 characters, what they call the Paragon experience, everything that's the endgame experience, that will roll right into the Paragon pool on your general characters. So it's like, even though you're taking a side trip to go do this, side character, your efforts will still be permanently felt in the game. And I think it's a really cool little feature on the PC version of the game, and it's a real bummer the console people don't get to experience this. Although you do still get all the special loot. They work it into the consoles. It's just all in the general pool. I did promise a new game this week, and I did actually, ironically, with all this discussion we've been having at the top of the show, I picked up a new-to-me game. This game's actually been out for probably like a year and a half, but I finally picked this up.
Just about a year, actually.
It was about a year. Well, it was only $10 on PlayStation thanks to the flash sale, so I picked up Rayman Legends. Which I'd only really played the little Wii U experience that they had before, so I hadn't really played the full game. So I've been playing a little bit of this, and you know that Xtifer over on Horde House, he loves this series, and he's friendly pressured me a lot to play this game on and off. So I finally got a chance to check it out, and it's a pretty solid platformer that gives a lot to come back to. In the levels, you're trying to collect these little critters. You want to collect as many, they're not gold, but they're looms, I think they're called, like lit up bugs or something. You're trying to collect as many of those as you can in a level, and depending on how many you collect is what kind of trophy you'll get at the end of the level. And if you get a good enough trophy, you get more unlocks. So it's like there's a lot of stuff that kind of, like a lot of little achievements to go for in the game that will unlock things. And that's what people really like about platformers, I think. So that's kind of what gives Rayman a lot of legs. gigs, and the fact that you can go online and you have these daily and weekly challenges that are there as well. So there's a lot kind of to look for in the game. So I've been having fun just, I'm going to try to do what I can do on this level and this level. But the only problem is then I get a little bit of gaming OCD that takes over, and it's like, oh my God, I missed one bug in that level. I've got to go back and play the whole damn thing over again so I can get that one bug. And so that can cause my progress to be very, very slow. But I've been having fun with the game. It is a lot of fun. It's a great platformer, and I see why Xtifer's really into it. So I'll probably be playing more of that in the coming weeks. So that was pretty much it for my gaming week. Loki, last but not least, how about you?
Well, I played Besieged this week. I actually picked that up because I saw a trailer for it and it looked funny. It's, if you haven't heard of it, it's a game where you build machines out of parts and then you try to lay waste to medieval environments. So each level has a goal. Like you can drive to this one spot and, you get there without hitting mines, or, destroy this part of a castle or destroy an army or something like that. But you have to build these machines in order to do that, and it's a lot harder than it sounds, but it's also a lot more hilarious as well. So there's a ton of YouTube videos out there for it. It's going to be pretty popular. It's on Steam Early Access right now because I don't know, there's just a lot of popularity with people making videos about machines and stuff that they've created and everything. So I played that. I played a little bit of Lego Marvel Superheroes because my son wanted to. And what else? I think that's it. Mostly just worked on my game. So now I have to the point now where I have the first level pretty much done. And I'm ready to start more levels. I got all the framework stuff done. The only thing I'm really missing is like a pause menu and some of the options screens and stuff like that. But for the most part, the game is functional, so I just have to make levels for it now, which is the best part.
I can't wait to check out your game. I'm so excited.
Yes. So.
I'm glad this VOG Jam is still kind of keep on going here because I still have to get around to those videos. But just all these
just
other
polish.
things are coming up.
Like I have to add trees and stuff to the maps I have and that kind of thing. So just a lot of polish and level making.
All right. Well, we are going to go here to our interview tonight. I'm very excited to welcome these guys on the show. We're going to be talking with Don, who is the designer, writer, and director. And then we're also going to talk with Austin, who's one of the game developers on this game, Starr Mazer. And Starr Mazer is on Kickstarter right now. And it is kind of it's a part point-and-click adventure, part shoot-'em-up, but it's not two games in one. It's a blend of these two game genres. So we're going to get these guys on the line because, I can sit here and talk about it, but I think these guys will be able to talk to us much better about this game. So we're going to give them a call right now live here on the air, here on Orange Lounge Radio. We are calling them up on Skype right now, Don and Austin, with Starr Mazer. And I think we have somebody there. Is that Don? Oh, Don and Austin are both there in the same room. Hi, guys. How's it going?
Audio output.
Hello, can you hear me?
Stand by.
Hi, guys. You're live on Orange
What's
Lounge
up,
Radio.
guys? We got technology.
Technology.
In the future. There you are. Hi.
Hi, how's it going?
Great. You can hear us and see us.
Yes, we can hear you and see you. I apologize we don't have video, but it's only a radio show over here at OLR, so we just have the audio.
That's all right. We did all this awesome setup. We look great right now, I have to tell you.
Just want to use it at the end.
Yeah.
You guys look fantastic.
We can actually,
well,
if you guys want, you can. Oh, I'm sorry. 1 second. There's a bit of a lag. Are we taping this? Is that a thing?
You want me to tape it?
Yeah,
No.
go for it. And then it'll justify the video. Sorry, guys. Let's go ahead and get started. I apologize for the technical difficulty.
That's okay. You guys are actually live on our show here at Orange Lounge Radio, broadcasting at vognetwork.com right now.
Awesome.
But let's talk a little bit about Starr Mazer. So I've been trying to explain to people what Starr Mazer is all about, but you guys are really the minds behind the game. Tell us, what is Starr Mazer?
Starr Mazer is a retro, sexy, point-and-click adventure shmup game. It's that's the fastest way to say it. But what does that mean? Starr Mazer is a storytelling game. Takes place in the far future. It is a unique blend of mechanics from two seemingly disparate game types into a new and unique genre. It is a game about replayability, a game about story discovery, and a game about flying cool ships through space.
why point and click and shoot 'em up? What was it about those two genres where you were like, yes, they need to get married and have this game?
One of them is an amazing action mechanic that tends to kind of crap the bed when it comes to story, right? Like, tell me the story of Ikaruga. It does not exist. Shoot the aliens, right? And the other is a highly story-based game type, which tends to ignore action and mechanical fun. And when they do implement it, it tends to be kind of janky and weird and kind of tacked on. When I was younger, so I guess the shortest answer is because I played those games the most when I was a kid. And when I thought about making games, those are the two game types I wanted to make. But instead of making two disparate games with missing parts, I'd rather make one game that uses the best parts of other games to make a new game type.
Awesome. If you guys want to ask questions of Don or Austin from Starr Mazer, you can join us in our chat room over at live.vognetwork.com. Dungeon Buster's in our chat room and says, love the pixel art already, looks great. And I got to say, this is one of the first things I noticed about the game was that the pixel art is very detailed. There's a lot of love for it all over the Kickstarter page with all these little animated sprites and so forth. What is it about this pixel art style that is necessary for this game?
I want to answer that question. This is Don, by the way. I'm sorry that I'm not letting Austin talk. I'll let him talk in a moment. Right now, he's still chained to the wall. Just kidding. There are two distinct reasons. The first is nostalgia. I'm making the game I wanted to make when I was 9. When I was 9, games looked a certain way. And we wanted to expand the idea of what games looked like back then, as opposed to stay slavishly to them. We wanted to get past our limitations. We wanted to create a game that looks like what I thought games looked like. I recently started playing for Starr Mazer, in fact, one of my favorite games of all time, which is called Gate of Thunder for the Turbo Graphics CD system.
Oh, yes.
It's a great game. It's one of the best shmups ever made.
Yes, it is.
Dark Soccer here at OLR is a big fan of that.
Awesome. Well, here's the trick. I remember it looking a lot better than it looked, and it looks incredible. But in my brain, my 9-year-old world, my 9-year-old version of myself made that, like the animated intro in the beginning where it's like 4 frames of animation. I had a whole anime in my head when I remember that game. I wanted to make that game. I wanted to make the game that I remember playing when I was much younger. So that's element number 1, nostalgia. Imigo Softworks, my company, our tagline is nostalgia in HD. We want to bring to life what the fantasies that you played when you were younger. Not repeat them, but make them feel like they felt when you were younger. So nostalgia is number 1. Number 2, though, is an exploration of art. So pixel art was an art form of necessity back in the day. Sprites had to be a certain way. In fact, the entire look of a whole new form of art was formed because some people had a 16 by 16 grid to create all kinds of expression with. I find that fascinating. I like art by limitation. Our actual game frame is limited and requires all kinds of innovative sprite use. Some elements of our main character are 1 pixel wide if you take away the border. So that's on purpose. We want to express art. We want to express a form of art that was born of limitation rather than just adhere to limitation. Mega Man, the Blue Bomber, is blue because of a limitation of the NES. Inafune has said a number of times that he wanted Mega Man to be red, but the NES could produce 3 shades of blue and only 1 shade of red. So red and orange. So the Blue Bomber, the famous. I'm looking right now. I have an entire wall that's vinyls.
You have
vinyl cutouts of Mega Man sprites.
I know our listeners can't see you guys, but you have a pillow right behind you that looks like it has a giant Mega Man on it. Actually,
I've got a Mega Man style Judge Dredd on a pillow. We're sitting on a quilt. That's all Mega Man. I got Mega Buster back there. I'm a giant Mega Man fan. That's why we have Manami Matsumae as one of our composers for the game.
Yes.
She's the original sound and composer for the original Mega Man. But what I'm saying is they were challenged limitations. Chiptunes are really popular right now. That's ridiculous. It's only ridiculous if you take out the art, though, right? Technically, that's dumb. That's like banging 2 pots and pans together as a new genre of music, because that's all we had. But that's not really the truth. chip tunes of today, chip artists of today are creating new and unique flavors of music that could not possibly exist without all of the groundwork laid by people who were making music with limitation. The people who made the original chip tunes weren't making chip tunes. They were making orchestral pieces with massive limitations. Right now, chiptunes artists make chiptunes by exploring chiptunes as its own art form. We're exploring pixels in that same way with our art.
I love chiptunes, but banging pots and pans together. Come on, it's not dubstep. Come on, let's be a little fair here. No, I'm kidding.
No, dubstep is a dial-up modem.
That's true. Austin, you've been sitting there so patiently while we've been talking to Don. Austin, I got a question for you. So you are the game designer on this game, and one thing that caught my eye as I was looking through the Kickstarter was you guys have a system called OMG, or Open Middled Gameplay. What is this OMG about?
So the OMG system is the open middle gameplay of Starr Mazer. The easiest way to explain this is it's like a season from your favorite TV show, except in the game you can watch the episodes in a different order, and by doing that it'll change the outcome because there's this cascading effect of all the things that happen in the beginning on throughout the story. So the way we're actually implementing that is that Starr Mazer can start in one of a few possible scenarios, and it will have a few satisfying endings based off of the events that are taking place in the game. But as far as everything in the middle, we don't know exactly how that's going to go, because we're designing the world and we're implementing the code of the game so that all of the characters represent their sort of worldview. It is very popular for games that have like consequences and choice to have this world state where like your actions are rated on a scale of good to bad or lawful to chaotic. And we really don't like that idea because it takes a very complex idea and breaks it down into a definable system, which games as a simulation do that, but we're making games in the year 2015, not in the year 1985. So we have a lot of power to be able to make very interesting simulations. So the way we're building characters is that they see the world from their own worldview. When you communicate with a character, all these other events could have gone on, but they only care about what they know and what they've seen and what they've heard of your actions. So when you're interacting with characters, if you're an amazing pilot because you've been doing great as you fly your Star Wolf, then they're either going to give you respect because maybe they think pilots are cool, maybe they'll be afraid or jealous of you because they're a fighter pilot themselves, or maybe they don't give a damn how great you are flying because you need to pay them some money and you haven't paid them money yet.
Right.
Huh.
And so what's interesting is that we're recording all these things, and those interactions between characters, we don't specify exactly how they're going to happen in the playthrough that you go into. That's that whole episodes in different order. You might encounter a great space pilot early on in the game, but it could, in your next run through, it could happen at the end. And the thing is, your interactions with that space pilot will then create more events that other characters in the world hear about that change how they interact with you. And so the real innovation of Starr Mazer, the thing that's going to set it beyond just being an interesting combination of mechanics, is the open middle gameplay, and where you can play through this game over and over again, and it's always a new experience, and it's always a new way to play through and learn how to be a hero, which is the core message of Starr Mazer.
Right.
I think it's a really cool sounding idea. I mean, it kind of makes me think about, like, obviously we have companies that make these very episodic games. They're very well known for it, like Telltale. But it's like, what if you played a series like The Walking Dead, but it was in a different order? Like, that could change everything completely. So this sounds very ambitious, and I think it's a really cool little twist, especially for something that is kind of rooted in retro in a way. I think it's really cool.
An important note, though, is the game isn't released in episodes. The game is released in a season. So you get all the episodes, and more episodes than you get in one playthrough, all at the same time. Whereas, like a Telltale game, you get an episode at a time. That's kind of the thing.
Good call out.
So, yeah.
Excellent. Well, let's talk a little bit about Kickstarter, because you guys are in the last 5 days of your Kickstarter campaign, which, of course,
we are.
Shut up.
Kickstarter.
Do not say that out loud.
Kickstarter URLs are very long. They're a little hard for me to give out here on the show, but if you head over to the website, starrmazer.com, and that's StarrMazer.com, there's a link right there to the Kickstarter if you want to check that out. And it looks like you guys are definitely within striking distance of meeting that goal, and I really do hope you guys do meet that goal. But here's your chance with our listening audience and so forth. Why should we consider giving money to this project?
So why don't you get all like the highfalutin, high-minded like art and theory versions, and I'll give like the Selly version. How does that sound?
So yeah, the real exciting thing behind Starr Mazer is that we have an opportunity. We've got a team that can build a game that it's the game that you like that you remember playing as a child, but it's actually that good right now. That whole aspect of that, like we remember how great those games were back then, flying through the shmup sections or like interacting with those cool narratives. But if you play those games back today, they're not that good. And the implementation of the OMG system is something that games have been trying to do in various degrees. Games have been trying or skirting with the idea, but have not fully achieved. The closest example is Shadow of Mordor, which did a great job at it. Mm-hmm. And we actually discussed our systems of how we're doing the OMG to the Shadow of Mordor team, and they confirmed like it's very similar to how we're doing things, but we have a different goal. We're giving a different experience, so we have the opportunity to actually build this system. And so if you want to see an advancement in game narrative to an actual interactive state as opposed to going through a linear experience, which is what you get, which is great when you get with a lot of games, that is the thing that we are really, really setting out to build. That is the new experience that if you fund this game, we will be providing.
That's incredible. We're going to be on the cutting edge. You can be somebody who supported the change, the weather change in video games forever.
Yeah, like if you had the option to back The Walking Dead as a Telltale game and then set the change for narrative games like a few years ago, and you could be a part of that, that would be really awesome because then you would be part of the people that made Telltale-like games, which is a genre now that other companies are doing. Starr Mazer is the next logical evolution in that style, that idea of gameplay. Like I am very familiar with the Walking Dead series. It's inspired me. I've been thinking about it a lot over the past few years. And Don's ideas that come from a different angle have really merged together and to enable us to finally find the next step in that sort of line of making engaging narrative games.
That is awesome, and I agree with that. Our game looks pretty. If you get it on Kickstarter, you get it for $5 off, right? Like it's going to go retail at least $20. Our lowest tier is $15. That's $5 off. That's 25% off. That's amazing. The soundtrack is incredible. I don't know if you've noticed, but not only do we have legendary chip music artist Alex Maurer as our lead composer, and also one of the owners of Indigo Softworks, my company. He's also enlisted the help of over 25 other amazing musical artists. The Proto Men are on board. Like I mentioned earlier, Manami Matsumai is on board. Vert from Shovel Knight. There are so many.
Saber Pulse,
Fighter A-Rival,
Arcade High,
Monomer.
Let me just go to that Kickstarter URL. You will see all. It takes more than a page to scroll through it.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Just so people
the only way we'll get there is to break our first stretch goal, which is $180,000. So we need your help. We need your help to get there. That's super important. Mega Ran's going to be in the game as an NPC, who's going to be fully voiced by Mega Ran himself. And,
I love that.
And who knows if he spits some rhymes during the game? That would be cool.
Just so people get a taste of the soundtrack here, we actually have a little clip that we grabbed from the Kickstarter page of what that sounds like. So you can hear a little bit of this chiptune theme here. Definitely hear some of the retro goodness there in the Starr Mazer theme, and if you want to hear more of that, it's over on the Kickstarter page. But I was actually going to ask. I mean, you're sitting there basically spouting off a lot of the artists that make up the playlist here at Vaga Network. I mean, we love a lot of these guys. How did you get them all together for this?
I'm about to say the most arrogant thing I think I've ever said in my whole life.
Please.
I presented them Starr Mazer. I did it. I did that thing. No, here's the trick. Okay, so there's this thing. There's a filmmaker who said, they're like, how do you go from being a store clerk, like a video store clerk, how do you get from being a video store clerk to one of the most lauded filmmakers of all time? And the filmmaker looks directly at the interview and says, you make Reservoir Dogs. Like, that was his answer. And that always sat really dark with me, right? Because like there's probably a lot that went into making Reservoir. You don't just like snap your fingers and Reservoir Dogs comes out. But I've been asked the same question you just asked, I don't know, so many times, and what I come to isn't you be a badass and make Starr Mazer. That's the funny, like, jokey answer. The truth is, you have 9 people work really hard on a thing. You have a provably committed team of artists working together to make a thing, spearheaded by Alex Marr, the music side at least, spearheaded by Alex Marr, who is, again, legendary. People want to work with that guy. Show them the comp video that we put together. Show them the work that we've done so far. Show them the documents. Show them the character designs. Show them all this neat stuff. It becomes hard to resist if you've got the time and you've got the interest in this kind of thing, something that a lot of people are committing themselves to very deeply and truly. So the short, jerky, jokey answer is, you make Starr Mazer, that's how. But the actual reason is you work really hard on something that a lot of people can get behind. If you look at all the artists, not a single one of those artists is like a random guy from the street or like John Williams. I don't know that John Williams would want to be part of Starr Mazer. I know Manami Matsumai, who I would consider the John Williams of video games, is interested.
Yeah.
Her first answer was, it looks a lot like UN Squadron, and she's really missed doing games like that. So that's a really good answer, right?
That's
we've got
awesome.
all kinds of different answers from all kinds of different folks, but all of them engaged with Starr Mazer at the same level. We think that our backers, nearly 4,000 of them at this point, engage with the idea. We hope to spread that idea. Right now we're having an engagement problem, not a reach problem, not an engagement problem. Right now, we have conversions. Kickstarter gives you these like weird stats that don't always hash out because their statistical analysis doesn't include whatever math. But what you come to is you realize that we are getting a conversion rate of around 40%, which is baffling. 10% is normally like pie in the sky high. So the fact that 40% of the people who see Starr Mazer buy Starr Mazer immediately are like pledged to the system, and our average pledge is nearly twice as high as normal average pledges, I've found, which is pretty great for people in our bracket who offer tiers lower than that. Our average tier is pretty high. Our average bid is pretty high, which is pretty incredible. People love the game when they know about it.
Right.
So something like being on your radio show or knowing people who can spread the word is super important for us. So thank you very much. I would like to point out, all of those artists are being integrated in an individual way. We're not just going to say, like, make a thing and do a thing. The Proto Men have a totally different impact on the game than, say, Arcade High. Both of those have special things planned for each one of these artists. So that probably helped getting them on board as well. Like, instead of just saying, hey, brah, want to do a thing for a game, brah? Like, we came to them and said, listen, we have a really cool idea. The idea with Arcade High is incredible. The idea with Mega Ran's character is incredible. I think having a fully fleshed out idea that a lot of people are already behind because it has some form of merit, that's probably the easiest way to get them involved.
Well, we are happy to help out by helping to spread the word. And I was actually talking with our voiceover guy before the show, and he had checked out your campaign because he saw that you guys are coming on the show tonight, and he was like, "That looks awesome! I just backed it." So there you go. We know we got at least one.
Thank
so
you. Thank you very much.
I want to at least, I don't want to keep you guys too long because I know you guys, of course, are busy trying to get the word out and so forth, but I want to get to at least like one or two questions from our chatters over at live.vognetwork.com. Let me get a question here from Tiger Claw, who asks, with a title like Starr Mazer, is a maze involved?
Can you ask the question again? It got kind of garbled.
Sure, no problem. Tiger Claw in our chat room asking, with a title like Starr Mazer, is a maze involved in the game?
No. A Mazer, I can't say no. I'm sure there's going to be maze-like things at some point. I know
there are navigation things
have
to do with your ship in the flying sector.
Navigation has to happen. But a Mazer, M-A-S-E-R, is any device that emits radioelectric or thermoelectric energy. So a great example of a Mazer is a laser. A laser is a subclass of Mazer. But when I came up with the story, I was 9, so Z's were like way cooler than S's. In our game, the Starr Mazer is this giant ultimate weapon that everybody, including Brick, is after. Brick is the main character of our story, by the way. Brick M. Stonewood. The M stands for metal.
I would have thought that maybe the maze was part of that, maybe the storytelling a little bit, because it's never going to be the same. I thought maybe that was a way to look at it, but
totally, totally.
I like your answer too.
Cool idea. No, that's great. I think we're going to say that from now on. We will not attribute you. That's our idea. Actually, the open middle gameplay provides a labyrinthine storytelling device, maze-like method. We're calling all of our little game units
story mazes.
Story mazes. No. very cool.
Do I get a credit for that? All right,
Is
no, I'm
our
just kidding.
game engine.
No, I'm going to call it past that.
Yeah,
I'm going to
call it Minotaur.
All right. One more question here from chat. Tripe Tide asks, is there a way to, as an already backer of the project, continue funding the game after the Kickstarter and still up our pledges, like for a limited period of time, like a lot of games try to do so?
I think we're probably going to do add-ons. By the way, Tripe Tide is somebody we know. Hi, Tripe Tide. We don't know him personally, but we actually have at starrmazer.tv. We have a Twitch show every day during the campaign that culminates in a 24-hour Twitch extravaganza where we have a pizza party and live music and all this kind of stuff. That's at the last day of our campaign, this Friday through this Saturday. Friday at 10 a.m. PST, all the way through Saturday, 10 a.m. PST. But anyway, Triptide has been on watching that show almost every day since we started it. So he's kind of sneaking in an extra question. It's really great. But yeah, add-ons are a thing we're going to try to do. We're still working out the details for them, though. That's one of the things people don't really talk about when they do their campaign. And I'm sure we're going to do a Kickstarter like post-mortem or something. But there's a lot of information that's not available. Like, hey, how do you handle add-ons? We don't just click an add-on button. Like, there's a whole big process that you have to go through. So we're working on it. We'll definitely announce something soon.
All right. Awesome. Now, I have one more question that may not be as serious, but it's one of those things that when you notice it, you have to ask. So this is a question for Austin.
I'm leaving my pants on. My pants are staying on.
It's not that kind of show. Austin, this is a question for you. All right. I couldn't help but notice over at starrmazer.com on your profile, there's a little DDR arrow in the picture and your Twitter name, 2DX. Do you have a type of... Do you have a Bomani history like this show does?
Oh, that's easy.
Oh,
That's so
you know,
good.
I was thinking that Orange Lounge that you guys were referencing, that musician. So I was really stoked about that. So yes, actually, I run a company. I'm a co-founder of a company called 2DX.
Yep.
But it's TOODX, as in an excessive amount of deluxe. It is absolutely inspired by Beatmania 2DX, which is one of my favorite games of all time. I love the difficulty of it. I play one-handed. I just recently do sumo mods. Whatever, I'm not very great at it, but it's because it's super hard. But yes, but it is a triple entendre. I'll let you figure out the other ones because some of them I don't want to say out on public radio. But yes, I grew up playing a lot of music games. Beatmania 2DX was the first Japanese game I imported. It's a huge aspect of mine. So I am so glad that you guys are representative of that.
Orange Lounge
some of my
Radio.
favorite songs of Beatmania.
We all met playing Dance Dance Revolution at Roseville Golfland. Dark Sakura used to be a mod on DDR Freak. This show's been going for 13 years, believe it or not. Longest running video game podcast. So there it is, born of the DDR community.
That's so cool.
So,
Can I tell you guys something really crazy?
What's that?
I've never legitimately played DDR.
What?
Never once.
What?
Don't worry, I'm going to fix this. I just found this out. I will fix this as soon as possible.
Don't you have a
new stretch goal?
You have a 24-hour stream coming up, right? If you have a 24-hour stream coming up, I think some DDR has to happen in that. I think that's got to be a thing.
24 hours of butterfly.
I am so down for this.
Fat kid on DDR.
All right, there it is. Now, if you weren't already considering this, Starr Mazer, now you know this is part of the Bomani family here from many, many years ago. I love this. Anyhow, I want to thank you guys for being on the show this week. One more quick question for you guys, because we always ask all our guests this. Besides Starr Mazer and other things that you are directly involved with, what type of video games are you playing right now? Don?
Okay. So I'm working a lot, so I'm not able to play a bunch. I had for Starr Mazer specifically, and I'll get to your question directly, but for Starr Mazer specifically, I'm playing a lot of old school shmups and adventure games. I just got Loom for my Turbo Duo, which I'm going to dig into pretty soon here because I remember loving that game a lot. So I've been doing that a lot. But that said, I've been playing, I guess it's because it's portable, and if I have time and I can sit down, I normally am just doing work. I've been playing my Vita a lot. And I think most recently, I just finished Hotline Miami, the original. I was able to play a little bit of Hotline Miami 2 behind closed doors recently, and I fell in love with it, and I got to playing Hotline Miami. So I'm playing that a lot. I'm in my third playthrough of SteamWorld Dig, and I don't know why. There's something unbelievably addictive about that game. I really love it.
That is an addictive game. It's a lot of fun.
It is a very addictive game. And then for consoles, I'm stuck in Alien Isolation. I want to spend time playing it at some point. I got a buddy who plays Call of Duty, so I've been playing Call of Duty Advanced, whatever newest bro game, a lot too. But I don't know that I'm super into that outside of into the experience of playing it with my friend. Which, by the way, is a good way to consider. If you're not into Call of Duty, that's a great merit for Call of Duty. It's one of the few of those type games that you can actually split screen, so you can have couch co-op against. It's just pretty fun. So that's the truth of it. I wish I had a really cool answer, but I'm mostly working.
I understand. Austin, what about you?
So the most recent game I dove into was the demo that was released for Read Only Memories, which is a point-and-click adventure inspired by Snatcher. So it's been an inspiration for me working on Starr Mazer, but I just absolutely love it. It's a very engrossing storyline. The character is really great. The art is beautiful. So that was the most one I dove into. Recently, I stole a few minutes away and played a game jam game called Apocalypse Gardening, which feels like it was made by Vlambeer. It's got this amazing balance of shooting and growing. You can find that on the internet somewhere, so I highly recommend that. And the game I am most excited to play as soon as we get funded, and I have a few minutes, is going to be Life is Strange. Because people have been talking about it a lot. It sounds a lot like a game I want to build.
He's not lying. He actually made me download it. It's sitting on our Xbox right now.
And then we worked and it got late and I fell asleep. So we're going to play. I'm excited to play that soon. That's my list.
That's awesome.
Life is Strange is in my queue right now.
We just had Matt Kahn on the show about 4 months ago talking about Read Only Memories when they were running the Kickstarter. So I think he'd appreciate the
cool. You know Matt
there.
Yeah, he's super nice.
Yeah, it's awesome. And by the way, I will have you know, the chatters right now, I know you can't see them in chat, but they are lighting up on this DDR thing. And Dar Tetsuya did not expect the interview to go down this road. Jason saying, I'm so glad Sky asked this question. I noticed the exact same thing. Fuzzy Ski saying, I will make Don play DDR while dressed as Zangief.
Yeah, I'm going to have a Zangief thing going on.
I can kind of see it.
He's going to be here on Friday or one of the days during the 24-hour show, so he probably will force me.
That's amazing. You guys have been a lot of fun to have on the show. I've kept you way over time, but thank you for spending time with us here tonight at Orange Lounge Radio. Again, the Kickstarter is in its last few days, so if you're hearing this show throughout the week or live tonight or via the podcast feed at sometime this week, check it out over at starrmazer.com. That's STARR Mazer, MAZER.com. And pulling for you guys. Really hope to see you guys make it. I would like to play this game myself, so rooting for you guys.
Thank you so much.
We would like to make it for you.
All right. All right, here's hoping. Well, thank you guys for taking the time out, and best of luck.
Thank you.
All right, hope to follow up with you on release day. All right. Take care, guys.
Do it.
Thanks.
All right. That again was Austin and Dawn from Starr Mazer.
They're
and
cool.
Yeah, they were fun. Isn't that funny? And they're talking in chat. Like Jason says, DDR, 2DX, Bamani, read-only memories. Austin has a lot of overlap with OLR's key tenants. Isn't that funny? The internet's a big place. The internet's a big place, and you run into people.
Small.
I know, and yet so small. We're all gamers. Darn it! At the end of the day, all right. Anyhow, I'm very happy to talk to them, and I noticed their game's a big deal. They brought a lot of people into our chat room tonight, so welcome to Orange Lounge Radio. As I mentioned, we all met playing Dance Dance Revolution at an arcade 13 years ago. We started this show, and after we would play games at the arcade, we used to go to a little diner in the parking lot of Roseville Golfland and talk shit about our favorite thing, video games. And here's what we're still doing.
We need to do that again soon.
We're still doing it.
We need to have an OLR live from Brookfield.
We're still doing it with all you guys here 13 laters, but now our table is virtual, and all you guys get to come sit at the table, and we give everybody a voice through email, through our Skype line later in the show. We'll take some live calls, and you could be on the show just like Don and Austin were, Twitter, forums, everything.
Oh my God, I just had a thought.
What's that?
What if actual OLR con is just everyone going to Roseville Golfland and then taking over Brookfield?
You talk about this OLR
How many
con.
in your party? 200.
200. All right.
How many in your party? Everyone.
All right, well, best of luck to those guys over at Starr Mazer, but we do still have plenty of show coming up for you guys. We want to get through what's going on in the weekend news. Some quick housekeeping for you guys. There will be no show while PAX East is going on, which is like March 7th. I don't remember the date off the top of my head. Maybe March 8th. But there will be no show that day. I will be out at PAX East in Boston, and I believe we're going to have a thread on the forums. I think Hitstone was going to start something. If you are going to be at PAX East, please visit our forums. We're hoping to do like a VOG meetup at some point during the convention. Would love to just meet up with some fans, like in an unofficial capacity, get to talk to you guys and talk some smack about games and maybe play some 3DS or go visit the classic gaming display because it's one of my favorite things at PAX. Check that out. So, but sadly, because I will be there will be no OLR that weekend. There you go. Follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/OLR. We're also on Facebook, facebook.com/Orange Lounge Radio, and on Google+, google.com/+ Orange Lounge Radio, where we'll be asking the Fugle question of the week a little later on, inspired by our interview tonight, Starr Mazer. Let's get into some news. Quite a bit of it this week. Let's get to it. Loki, starting us off tonight with the news.
For a change.
Yeah, for a change.
So, a new challenger arises, and Bethesda actually doing a press conference at E3. And they put out a notice basically saying, hey, we're going to be here, and it's going to be on the 14th, it looks like. So what could they possibly be announcing or showing off? Obviously something really big. Fallout 4, maybe? Dishonored 2? Something we haven't heard about yet.
Yeah.
Maybe another Star Trek game.
Well, their little Team Fortress-esque game that they showed at last E3, I don't believe has come out. So there could be that's going on too. I mean, that alone would not necessitate an entire press conference, but at the same time, and hear me out here, I don't think Fallout 4 necessitates its own press conference either.
Yes, it does.
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to belittle that game. Obviously, that game is a big deal, but one game is not an entire press conference. Does that make sense?
That's true, yeah. They must have a pretty decent lineup.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So looking forward to what they might be bringing out there. The only bummer about that, it's on Sunday night, which means that press conference is going to be going on while OLR is happening.
That's all right, live news. Woo!
But it's making E3 week longer and longer. Because, what E3 proper is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. The Microsoft and Sony conferences happen on Monday, as long with is EA and Ubisoft also Monday? I think it is, right?
I don't remember.
No, they're EA and Ubi are the first day of the show, I think. So
usually, yeah.
But anyway, it's backing up all the way to Sunday now with the Bethesda thing. So E3 week's getting longer and longer. But hey, I know there's a lot of us out there, myself included, that's like, all right, new Fallout's all fine and good. Can we get just maybe a frame, just a glimpse, just a peek at the future of Elder Scrolls?
Yes.
I don't mean Elder Scrolls Online.
Yes, I'm fine with them even skipping Fallout 4 and doing yet another Elder Scrolls game. I'm totally cool with that.
Some people might disagree with you there.
I don't care. I really don't care.
Black Wolf in our chat room over at live.vognetwork.com says Elder Scrolls Online 2, Elder Harder. Well, I wouldn't be surprised, actually, with all the focus and attention that, hey, new press conference is going to generate, because they'll be running it on Twitch. There's going to be a lot of eyes on this, I'm sure. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they try to pimp up. I wouldn't necessarily say expansion for Elder Scrolls Online, but this is the point where Elder Scrolls Online will have gone subscription-less. I don't want to say free to play because you still have to buy the game, but there's no subscription fee, which is a huge move for them, right? Nice. It will be on consoles by this point, right? Because it's going to be out in April on Xbox One.
Maybe.
I think it was April. So come June would be a great time to announce what does the next phase of Elder Scrolls Online look like? Why now that this game is out on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One should I go run out and buy it today? So even though we sit here and joke about the future of Elder Scrolls, I wouldn't doubt it at all if they actually show here's what Elder Scrolls Online is going to evolve into, leading to maybe the first expansion or something. God bless them for trying to make that game work. It got a lot of flack. I think it came out at a bad time. It launched in a very crowded market, and it's hard to to kind of justify a subscription-based game. Blizzard can kind of get away with it because they're Blizzard. Square Enix gets away with it because the Final Fantasy brand carries a lot of oomph.
The problem is that people are coming off of Elder Scrolls Skyrim. And that's the level of game that they're hoping to play with Elder Scrolls Online. It's like, oh, it's Skyrim, but it's multiplayer. That's kind of what people wanted. And then they played it, and they're like, well, it's not quite like that. It's more of just like a typical MMO being reskinned into Elder Scrolls. So I don't know. I think there's a little bit of disappointment there. Plus, buggy launches.
Mm-hmm. Well, moving on to some other news from the week that was a little...
I was also going to mention...
Go ahead.
They're not the only company that's booked, a venue for E3.
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo has also booked a huge theater for this year's E3 as well. And we'll have to see what plans they have for that as well.
Wait, huge theater? I thought it was only like...
$299.
We did Rocky Horror in a 450-seat theater last night.
Okay, a small theater for...
But okay, wow, that's a small theater. That's
maybe are they gonna do nothing with the theater, but maybe have that doing our Smash tournament, because that'd be pretty cool.
Oh, that's a thought that maybe they're gonna use it. They're gonna run some type of tournament there. Maybe a lot of people are thinking is this a press event?
Splatoon tournament?
Is Nintendo coming back to do a press thing? But tournament sounds like a really good idea. Maybe, I don't know. You'd think they got to tap into that fan base, that rabid fan base that Nintendo has somehow. And if they could have a public venue. But man, only 299 seats though. Everybody would be clamoring for that.
Yeah, I'm thinking
Here's another great example of Nintendo's supply not matching demand. Only 299 seats in this theater.
That's how many people are buying the console, right?
299 US seats.
No, there's plenty more people lining up for those Amiibo. There's probably 299 people in line for Ice trying to get one of those Majora's Mask 3DSs. It's pretty crazy. So, all right. Dark Tetsuya agrees with you in our chat room over at live.vognetwork.com, saying, I was just thinking a Splatoon tournament, perhaps. So, anyway, let's talk about some news that kind of struck me by surprise. And Dark Sakura, I don't know if you were looking forward to this game. You're the resident BioWare fangirl. So I don't know if you knew a lot about this game, but it was Shadow Realms, which was the 4-on-1 dungeon crawler that BioWare was working on. It was canceled this past week, which kind of takes me by surprise. I don't know if that took you by surprise.
I have no idea what that game is.
It was, a lot of people were saying it was like Evolve because it was a full 4-on-1 type of thing, but it's got the BioWare in it, so I would imagine it was more story-driven and a little more RPG-driven. What is one of the biggest complaints people have about Evolve? There's no single-player mode, right? So I would assume, and again, I'm making an assumption, but I would assume that Shadow Realms maybe was addressing some of that in the game that they were making. So, but we'll never know because they made the decision this past week to not move forward on the development of Shadow Realms.
I would like to see one of these 4-on-1 games be completely unfair. It's the 4 people are brave warriors versus 1 baby.
Well, now there have been no layoffs announced at BioWare Austin, which fingers crossed it'll stay that way. They have said that they are shifting resources over to continued enhancements to Star Wars: The Old Republic. Speaking of a crowded MMO space, The Old Republic is free to play, and it's worth checking out if you're even remotely interested in Star Wars. But it sounds like some of these resources are going to make that game grow a little bit there, and more enhancements to Dragon Age Inquisition. I'm not sure what that means because that's a game that's already launched. Is that more DLC, perhaps?
Wolf Hunt.
So Dark Sakura has her wish list over there that she would like Austin to consider working on there. Also, other Mass Effect, whatever the future is for Mass Effect, and, quote, other new IP. Wasn't there another science fiction game that BioWare...
Naked Turian's the game. No, I'm kidding.
Wasn't there another BioWare franchise, like a new IP, science fiction IP they're working on that is not Mass Effect?
I don't know.
I don't think it was this either.
I don't know.
Maybe a mystery IP.
Dragon Age in space.
That's Mass Effect, Loki. That's Mass Effect.
No, it's not.
Mass Effect in medieval times.
No,
that's
not.
Dragon Age.
That's not.
Medieval Mass Effect in space.
No, it isn't, because there is no planet on Mass Effect or you will fucking spend 40 hours running
in the hinterlands.
if the hinterlands were a planet. All right, anyway.
Hinterworlds.
All right, Dark Soccer, what do you have for us in the news?
I've got some stuff, interesting stuff. In fact, so interesting that it was, I actually stopped and went, really? Apparently, SquareEnix Holdings have filed separate trademark applications for Squaresoft and Enix. This was posted by a Japanese trademark bot Twitter account that basically anytime a trademark is filed, it pulls it from trade journals and makes it public. So this was posted on January 19th that Square Enix posted the two trademark applications, again, Squaresoft, which was the former Square brand, and then one for Enix. So take that for what you will. It could just be possible that they're trying to make sure that those names don't get taken up once any expiration has occurred. But there you go. I'd say take that for what you will. Maybe.
Which I really don't know how to read into that. Like, I think obviously we have to address the first conclusion some people might jump to is that Square Enix is going to split. No, that's not going to happen.
Well, especially since we've got so many different merging IPs with them now.
Right, and don't forget IDOS is a factor now too. I mean, if that were to happen, what would happen to Tomb Raider? Like, that's not really a thing. I don't see that
All
happening.
I care is that we get another bus to move.
Maybe, and you know what? If that's the whole reason for this to happen, then I am totally fine with it.
God damn it, we're going to make bus move, even if we have to leave.
and have it not be that Dance Summit. Even though Dance Summit was fun, it needs to be old school bus to move. I'll be happy.
I would love that if that's the reason. Could it be maybe that
Kitty end the game?
Could there be like mobile phone development under one? But I think
it's
they're already
more of a protection
to
keep other people, because especially if you also notice this, the tweets also did have trademark category 16, which refers to printed materials like video game manuals, magazines, strategy guides. So I think it's more or less something just to protect past holdings. So take that for what you will.
That's a very good thought, and that's probably really all this is so that Loki can't go in there and say, "Oh, I'm going to make Bust to Move Part 3, and I'm going to make it under Enix because there's no longer a trademark for that." So,
However, we should actually just form a company for shits called SquareEnix. And we do nothing but sell squeaky hammers. SquareEnix! Maybe.
Love it. All right. Let's travel around the world and check out what game releases are coming out this week in game stores, if anything at all. I know it's a slower time of year, but we did have Evolve last week. Loki, what's it look like in the U.S.?
I have fucking no idea.
Oh, and we had the new 3DS. Let me not leave that out. Nintendo Friday thing always freaking throws me.
Oh God, yeah. I don't know. Nintendo's on their own page as far as when they're going to release stuff, and it was funny enough when I first started. Back when I was selling video games, when I first started doing that, it was just oh hey, you know what? We're going to go ahead and just release shit whenever we want. Then everybody kind of got on board with how the movie industry works, and we're going to release shit now on Tuesdays, and everything was cool. Except for fucking Nintendo, who decided, hey, we're going to release shit now on Fridays or Sundays or God knows whenever. It doesn't fucking matter because we're going to pick whenever we release shit. So that's my story there. Anyways, so I was going to mention, let's see here. God, I hate fucking website redesigns here. If someone wants to go ahead, I'm still waiting on this shit to load.
No problem. I can go ahead and jump over to Japan and check out the Japanese releases of what's coming out in these next few days in Japan. Dead or Alive 5, which I actually think is one of the releases here in the States this week, Logan.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the re-release, yeah.
But Dead or Alive 5 is making its way to Japan as well on the PlayStation 4. Dead or Alive 5 Last Round in the Collector's Edition, and what they called the Sakyu package is making its way to Japan on the 19th. That is on the PlayStation 4. Also, God Eater 2 Rage Burst is out in Japan this week on the PlayStation 4. And Terraria gets its Japanese retail release this week on the PlayStation 4 as well. Over on the Xbox One, Dead or Alive 5 will make its way there for those of you ye few but loyal who have the Xbox One over in Japan. On the PlayStation 3, of course, Dead or Alive 5 on its way there as well. And it is worth noting that with the release of Dead or Alive 5, you also have all these new fighting sticks and joysticks and so forth to celebrate the release of that. Nothing on the 360 in Japan this week, but looking at the Wii U, I don't believe has anything until March. No, I lied. No, I didn't lie, because that date I'm looking at is for the U.S. next week for Kirby. Mario Party 10 is the next release in March on the Wii U. In Japan on the PlayStation Vita, God Eater 2 Rage Burst is on the Vita as well. Fur Ayaki 3 comes out as well. Otoko Yukaku comes out as well. And there's actually a new Vita pack, a debut pack Wi-Fi model in what they call blue black, red black, and there's a crystal black 3G Wi-Fi model. I didn't even know they were still putting those out, but those are all coming out in Japan this week. Obviously, probably the Japanese culture lends itself a little differently to
3G.
3G, yeah. That's it. Nothing on the 3DS this week.
Yeah, I was going to mention, you pretty much hit it on the head. It's just Dead or Alive 5 Last Round for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and Kirby and the Rainbow Curse for the Wii U. That's literally it. This is honestly, I got to say, just looking at what's come out this year so far, it's been the slowest year as far as releases. Like, even in January, there's usually some stuff coming out, but it was, like, dead. And so far in February, it's been dead.
Do you think this means that we're going to have like a really crowded holiday or summer period?
I don't know what it means. I think it's just kind of going on that trend where we're getting less of the fringe and more of like these big projects that they're working on instead of releasing big AAA titles instead of just releasing a bunch of titles. They're just releasing a few really good titles.
Well, to be fair, I mean, Evolve was a pretty big deal, and that just, I mean, maybe not for me personally, but I know a lot of people were really looking forward to that, and that was, just this last week.
But I understand that, but I mean, what else have we really had this year? We had Saints Row: Get Out of Hell, Dying Light, and Evolve. I mean, that's 3 games in the course of
it has been a little slower.
A month and a half.
Yeah. Dark Sakura, how about the UK? Is it slow over there too?
Yeah, a little. We've got on the 19th, The Order 1886 on PlayStation 4. And then on the 20th, there's Dead or Alive 5 Last Round on everything, pretty much. That's it.
All right.
And I'm sorry. There
right.
was a little bit of a bigger one that I completely missed.
Uh-oh.
The Order 1886 is actually coming out.
Oh, was that this week?
That's on the 20th.
Oh,
yes.
I thought that was next week.
I thought that game had been delayed, to be honest. So
you know what it is? I don't realize we're as late in February as we are. Like, that is really throwing me for a loop. Like, oh my God, the 20th isn't this next week? That's just crazy.
Didn't care about the game. I don't know, but yeah, so the Order 1886, that's coming out as well.
All right, well, that is a pretty big deal, Logie. All right? For some people. It's one that some PlayStation 4 owners have been waiting for. All right, just a couple more stories for you guys, then the classic game of the week. Loki, you got a pretty big one.
All right, so I can't say that I'm surprised because I'm not. Because I've been saying this since Fable 2, I guess. Peter Molyneux backing, he can't live up to his hype, I guess. And so, for example, Goddess, there was the whole contest that was based around that stupid curiosity. What the fuck is in the cube? Let's waste your time clicking on the cube. That bullshit. And fucking the winner of that was supposed to get, basically be a god in the game. And they were going to get like part of, the proceeds or part of the revenue from the game or something like that. And 2 years after this contest has ended, still hasn't fulfilled his promise to the winner. And that's just really stupid. And on top of that, Goddess, I don't even think is... I still think it's very early, and all the like features and stuff that they were talking about it's just not up to where it needs to be at this point, especially since the Kickstarter ended. What I think
it was a while
ago. Yeah. So they haven't fulfilled a lot of the rewards for the backers. They are cutting features that they were promising that they would be doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big old fucking mess. And I want to say that they had a rock paper shotgun article or something that called them out on that kind of thing, which I didn't even really read it because I just heard
it was hard to read because I get that there are people out there that want to ask hard hitting questions, and I think you can do that, but I felt their approach was very tactless. The very first question in the interview is, are you a pathological liar? And what kind of tone does that set? I think that's just kind of fucking rude. I realize that this game is stumbling and so forth, but this guy is, whether you love him or hate him, he's worked very hard in the game industry, and he's made some incredibly notable, influential games, whether you like him or not. I just feel like that kind of question. There's a way to ask that without kind of being a dick. Like, instead of that, why not ask, I notice in your Kickstarter campaign, you said X, Y, and Z would happen. Here we are 18 months later, and X, Y, Z hasn't happened. Can you explain why these situations seem to continue to happen out of your company? I think there's a much better tactful way to ask a hard question than, are you a fucking liar? Which, is basically what I read when I read a question like that about being a pathological liar. That was really rough, I think.
And I don't know. I've been saying that, especially when they were talking about like how important the dog would be in Fable 2 and shit. And it just wasn't that. Or like, when they were talking up Fable 3 and when they were talking up just like, I don't know, just pretty much anything I hear him hyping up. I can't get hyped up about it because I know it's full of shit. Or it's not full of shit, but it's like he's talking up like this stuff like it's evolutionary. Like, this is the first time ever that something's happened like this. And it's just not. It's just like a normal feature in a game.
Let me go to some comments from our chat room. Bobby Blackwolf, our pal here at VOG, giving us some insight in the chat over at live.vognetwork.com, saying, I've met Molyneux. Here's the thing. The problem with him is that he loves games too much, and he loves talking about them. He loves talking about his ideas, but we all take his ideas as absolute final features in a finished product. He doesn't see them as that way, but that doesn't come across. His love of games is infectious, even if you only sit and talk to him for 2 minutes. Well, I get that. I totally get that. But now you have this Kickstarter thing, which maybe wasn't a factor before in Molyneux's career, which was now. Do you think, and I ask not just Bobby, like everybody, I'm asking this question, do you think that maybe with Molyneux kind of dreaming big, that led to saying things in the Kickstarter that maybe they didn't really have the plan on how they were going to get there?
But that's the problem, though. But if you've been in game development that long, then you should be able to know what you're capable of accomplishing. And I'm sorry, I don't buy that he's so passionate about games that he's fucking terrible at figuring out what his company's able to do in a timely manner. And that's the thing. He's been in the game industry for a while. He should know how to hit deadlines, know about how to make sure that the features that he's promising are going to be in there, because he's had the answer to people before about games. They didn't just say, Fable 2 is going to be this fucking amazing game that's going to be super immersive and that's going to be online multiplayer, blah blah blah, or whatever, and then just not totally back down on that. He's got to answer to somebody. He's not new to this, and I just don't buy that this age, this late into the game, that he doesn't know what he's doing.
But I just have to say on this whole thing, this just continues this really unfortunate trend that has existed in gaming for a long time, has really come up to a head this past year, where there's just a real lack of respect in gaming, and it's really sad to see happen. And, there's always going to be differences of opinion, depending on how you believe a game's journalism website should or should not be run, or how a game should or should not be made, and who should or should not have a say in the making of those games. We're all going to have differing opinions on that. That's going to happen. But we need to show a little respect for those diversities of opinions. And that is something that has been gravely lacking, and we've really seen this come to a head, especially in the past year. And it's just it's sad. It's
well, they're driving
really hard
away
to watch.
people that like he mentioned. I'm not going to talk to press anymore. And even like look at Notch. He kind of had the same thing where it's like, well, I'm not going to talk to you people anymore because you're being fucking rude to these people.
If gamers can't get over this respect, and I'm sorry, and I hate to call this out, but it is what it is. That Rock Paper Shotgun interview is an example of what I believe to be a lack of respect.
Once again, though, just like even like I hate to try to cross paths here, but even like with like the whole Gamergate crap that's going on there, you have to also remember one thing, that you can't judge one person by the whole industry or a whole group of people. Like just because they were dicks in their article doesn't mean that like every game outlet out there is going to be dicks to you. I mean, same with gamers. Just because one gamer is a fucking asshole and like being mean to people on the internet doesn't mean everybody does that. You can't make these broad generalizations.
However,
okay,
and I will point out the hashtag not all men and yes all women.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it is a group of people that are behaving that way and not the entire thing, you don't know if the people that you're talking to are among them. If you see it so public and it has happened so often, you're going to have a fear of speaking to anybody associated with that group. You have to protect yourself if you can't deal with it.
Well, which is why I think we need to get away from groupthink in the first place.
Indeed, but that's how society is.
No matter what your angle is, you have to get away from groupthink.
But that's how society is.
I understand that, but society, there's mean people everywhere. You're gonna might as well just close yourself in a closet and hide.
There's people like that.
Well, I'm sorry, but I mean, you can't just. That is not an excuse. There's a few people doing it, so now I have to assume everybody is.
If you have had nothing but this negative experience, it's reinforced it every time it happens.
Then you need to get out in the world and have more experiences.
Hold on. I think, and trying to move on and move the show forward, I think also it's important for, we're talking about two extremes here. And I think that's why it's important for the rest of us in the middle to say to the mean people, hey, shut up, let this person have their say, and let's have a respectful dialogue. It's up to the rest of us to not basically credit those mean people, if that makes sense.
Well, that's the whole point, is that in order to keep stuff like this from happening, we have to have a method of policing our own, pretty much. People have to be held accountable for the things that they say.
Yeah. And then it's tough because free speech,
No, free speech has nothing to do with accountability.
I know.
Free speech the free speech argument in the Constitution only has to do with discussing the government in acceptable locations. It has nothing to do with freedom of consequence.
But someone's thinking it.
Then they're an idiot and clearly haven't studied U.S. history.
All right.
Or government.
I got to move on in the interest of time because we could probably spend 3 hours talking about all of the problems in gaming right now. But, I don't know. I want to see good things happen with the game, and I want good things to happen to Peter Molyneux, who I think is a great mind. But it does sound like, maybe he's bit off a little more than he can chew. Hopefully this whole reserving a little bit, maybe going back into the shell for a little bit, maybe the good that can come of that is he can really focus on what's important right now, and that is making Goddess the great game it can
and
be.
Just think, if some more people are mean to other developers, they can make another Law and Order episode out of it.
Don't go there. Let's go to some more news. We're going to talk about Banjo-Kazooie. There's a Banjo-Kazooie spiritual successor on its way from Rare Veterans. Now, keep in mind that, certain IPs are held by certain people, so this isn't, like Banjo-Kazooie sequel. But there is a group of Rare employees who have a new indie team called Platonic Games. And Platonic has been publishing some little teasers there about what the spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie might look like. Now, obviously, we don't know what platforms this is going to be on because this is still very early teases. And when I say spiritual successor, I mean like how Mighty Number 9 is a spiritual successor to Mega Man, right? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Well, anyhow, there's more information that was published in Edge magazine, which includes some pictures and so forth that you can take a look at. This is all still very early on, of course, but it is nice to know that fans of Banjo-Kazooie at least have something to look forward to, even if not a direct sequel.
I'm totally looking forward to Guitar Flutie.
Let's hope. Guitar fluty. One can only hope. All right, well, let's travel back to a time. Let's go back to a simpler time in games. Maybe when Banjo-Kazooie was actually a thing. Actually, you know what? Fuck that. Let's go even further back this week, because Dark Soccer is going to step into the gaming vault and find a game that she thinks, hey, you guys should be checking out this game this week. It is a classic video game worthy of your attention, and
it's older than a lot of you.
This is a real old game this week.
It's creaky.
All right. Let's check it out, the classic game of the week.
The classic game of the week is Munchkin. Munchkin was cartridge number 38 in the Magnavox Philips line of games for the Philips Video Pack. We got it on the Odyssey 2 in North America as a game called Casey Munchkin, which was a reference to the president of the company at the time, Kenneth C. Mencken. So this game was programmed by Ed Averitt, and it was based a lot off of Pac-Man, but not
you
an
don't
actual...
say.
Hey. But not an exact clone. Atari, however, got their panties in a bunch, though, because of how similar it was, because Atari had been licensed to produce the first version of Pac-Man at home, but Munchkin came out before Pac-Man. Munchkin was out in 1981, a year before Pac-Man was ready for release.
And it was probably better than Pac-Man.
It's quite a bit better.
Yeah. on Atari.
So, and Atari could not convince the court at all to stop the sale of Munchkin, but they did win in appeals. So in 1982, they basically said that Philips copied Pac-Man and made alterations only to emphasize the extent to which it deliberately copied. So
I just want to note, I did kill the sound on the video.
It's awful.
Yeah, because that noise just grate a little after. That is one place where Munchkin was a little weaker, I think, is that noise does get a little grating. So I went ahead and killed that.
A lot more fun
soundtrack
than the Atari version of Pac-Man. Yeah. But anyway, the ruling was actually, this is really, really important because it was one of the first one to establish how copyright law applied to computer software. So, that being said, the differences that it has from Pac-Man is that there are 12 pills in the game called Munchies in each maze, and they are in 4 groups of 3, but they move through the maze independently and at different speeds, depending on how fast one is eaten. The final one moves at exactly the same speed as Munchkin, and you have to intercept it. The super pills are called blinking munchies because they flash and change color. Some of the mazes are invisible as soon as you start moving. It has a programmable mode where you can make your own mazes, because that was the big thing about the Odyssey.
Oh, wow.
Is that you could include programmable elements into a lot of your games. And keep in mind, the Odyssey 2 was one of the first video game systems I ever played.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was one of the first, I think, that most people of a certain age ever played, because it was all that was there.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you had the Fairchild Channel F.
Yeah, true.
Anyway, so the boxes where the ghosts regenerate actually rotate, so the ghost can exit from any side. It adds a lot more challenge to it. And you can actually enter the boss. If you're powered up, you can actually eat the monsters while they regenerate. It's kind of cool. The monsters are called Munchers, and you're called the Munchkin. You have 3 Munchers instead of the 4 ghosts, and Munchkin actually has fewer objects on the game board, but renders them with better color and animation. So overall, yes, graphically, it's better. It plays better. It has a lot more elements to it. But there we go. So after Munchkin got pushed off, Philips put out a sequel called Crazy Chase, or in the U.S. we got it as Casey's Crazy Chase. Which actually was more of a parody of that whole conflict by pitting the Munchkin across an insect tree-eating opponent called the Dratapillar that looked like the centipede from Atari. So you basically power up and advance not by eating the pills, but by eating the Dratapillar's body. And so that's Casey's Crazy Chase. And also, the Munchkin character was redesigned to roll through the mazes without a continuous chomping animation like Pac-Man did. So, and I actually have both of these games. A lot of the copies of Casey Munchkin are gone. I mean, they were tried to round up, destroyed, and I actually looked into my copy at a thrift store for 25 cents. Which,
wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Along with a copy of Crazy Chase. So I got them both.
Wow. Especially considering these games are kind of like, now you see them on these games were banned type of specials, even though that might be
It's not like it's that terribly hard to find it, but Casey's Crazy Chase isn't that bad as far as finding a copy. But Casey Munchkin, because of just the drama around it,
right?
It's kind of if you find a copy, keep it. I don't even care if you have an Odyssey 2. Just keep it. Yeah. Or is it Odyssey Squared?
It's a piece of gaming history, one way or the other.
Yes, it is. And it's actually a really fun little game. So,
but maybe on mute. With your own soundtrack. Listen to OLR while you play
Casey
and play it on mute.
Although I will say, of all of the Pac-Man clones, nothing touches Mousetrap.
I want to see Casey Munchkin get the 3D, I want to see that brought modern day. Like,
you want Munchkin in the Oculus Rift?
I want to see Munchkin as like a cartoon character, like we have with Pac-Man. I want to see it ripping off everything. Can we get? If Casey Munchkin can get, can be around, can we get Sonic?
Do you want to see if Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hodgehog?
So Casey Munchkin checking eBay. It really doesn't. Now, if you have a complete copy of Casey Munchkin, $20. There is there's a few on here, like there's posters and stuff, but you're not really going to pay that much for a copy of Casey Munchkin. Except, keep in mind, people are generally asking anywhere between $15 to $20 start for it.
Right.
Which for a Magnavox Odyssey 2 game, that is kind of crazy. So,
but
it's a crazy chase.
These games are getting close to 35 years old, so if you can believe it.
Yeah, they're older than some of you.
Many of you, actually.
Yes.
I think older than Loki, actually.
Just by a few months.
So,
are you really that young?
Yeah, Loki's 34?
In a row? Oh, wait, that's 37. Never mind.
There you go. All right.
That's Rob.
That's me. No, not till June.
You know what?
Don't age me faster than I need to.
You know what?
What?
I'm still older than you, so shut up.
I know.
And I'm broken. I have to get a hip replacement, y'all.
Well, it's okay. Dorian Gray over there, Bobby Blackwolf, he's been what age has he been for the last
29. He's been 29.
He's been 29 for like a long time, so you just don't look at the painting, Bobby. That's all you have to do.
All right. There it is. Your classic game of the week. Munchkin, or Casey Munchkin, as the case may be, for the Odyssey. All right. Again, play on mute.
But you know what was the best?
What?
Cryptoquip.
Have you done that as a game of the week? I don't think you have.
I don't think I have.
You may have to bring that up.
Or Cryptologic, or whatever the fuck they called it.
Yeah.
Where you basically, it's the word scramble is all it is. Mm-hmm. That game was fun.
Hey, still, it was probably one of the first on a television.
I think I did Quest for the Rings before.
Yes, that one you did. I remember that one. Anyway, we'll talk during the break about more classic games.
I was in second grade.
But we're going to take a quick break, guys. When we come back, there's plenty more Orange Lounge Radio to come, including the forum follow-up, the Fugle question of the week, your calls at 1-877-GAME-OLR, or our username on Skype, Orange Lounge Radio. We will get to your calls when we come back with more of Orange Lounge Radio right after this. Welcome back, everybody, to Orange Lounge Radio, live this evening on February the 15th of 2015 with episode number 587 of our program. Hope you guys all had a good Valentine's Day, however you chose to celebrate it. And I'm sure there's some of you out there that say, well, it's Singles Awareness Day. And well, I hope you found a pet to love, because we love our pets here at Orange Lounge Radio, our kitties and puppies. So, this is always a good time to remind you guys to consider adopting a pet if you need someone to love on Valentine's Day. And even if you already have a human being, couples could always use pets, right? I think all of us here in the room have some pets. We do love pets.
Some of our significant others are pets.
That's another way to look at it. Absolutely.
I have 2 pets, Dan and the cat.
There you go. All right, let's get into tonight's forum follow-up. over at the forums over at vognetwork.com, forums.vognetwork.com. Every week I try to select a few posts to talk about here on the show, kind of following up what we talked about on last week's program. And even though I had made a few posts this week, I didn't get a lot of feedback on them. But there was this one, which did actually get quite a few responses, so I thought I'd bring this post up. And that was about educational games. And you might remember at the end of last week's show, Dark Soccer, I think, or maybe it was Loki, was talking about a Doctor Who game that actually helps teach children to code. And it was kind of part of a broader BBC initiative. And it had me thinking about educational games. And I know we've had a Fugo question probably very similar to this in the past. But usually when educational games comes up, the same games are always named, right? What do we think of right off the bat? Carmen Sandiego, Number Munchers, and Oregon Trail, right? Those are like the big
Turtle.
three. Yeah, well, I mean, but then there's those that I think we're a little more attached to. And I wanted to ask on the forums, what games really shaped you? What do you remember playing, and what do you look back on and say, yes, that game actually had an impact on me? Like, for example, one game that I remember, it was an educational game from my youth, and one that I mentioned here was a game called Weather Tamers on the Commodore 64. And a lot of y'all probably never heard of this game, and it was a very kind of under-the-radar game. But in college, when I originally started college, believe it or not, I know some of you might find this hard to believe, I wanted to be a weatherman at first, and that was something I was learning to do. And I would actually say that game had a little bit, not total influence on that, but had a little bit of influence on that. And that was a Commodore 64 game where you had like a giant map and you could move like high pressure and low pressure around to kind of, I don't want to say you played God, but you definitely like could control the weather. And the goal was to make certain weather situations in towns. So it's kind of a way to learn geography as well as, what makes rain, what makes snow, what makes tornadoes and things like that. So that was a game that I remember was Weather Tamers. So some of you guys in our forums responded to this as well. Bobby Blackwolf mentioned a game called Agent USA, and in this game you would learn cities and states, and you had to type them in exactly. This also helped you learn about time zones that would affected when you would get somewhere, and you needed to know what cities were state capitals because that's where you got the better trains. And he goes on to say, I never beat it as a kid. SSG 100 Matt shared a game called Memory Manor, which was on the ColecoVision. Saying that I remember playing this game back in first grade on the Coleco Atom computer system. You play as a window washer with a helping helicopter trying to clean windows that have corresponding symbols on them. It forces you to memorize the windows and strategically place your washing fluid supply so you can clean windows efficiently. So it's kind of like it's in the title there. It was memory. It was a play on the game Memory. And Odell Lake was mentioned too. And I saw a lot of people on Twitter because I talked about this post on Twitter, and a lot of people were responding with Odell Lake. And SJ100 Matt saying, I played this in grade school. This is a very popular game among the kids in my class, along with Oregon Trail. This is a play for points kind of educational game, but I remember doing worksheets that were supplied by the game. The object was to play as a certain kind of fish and make decisions as to which fish or bacteria to eat, chase, ignore, or swim away in deep or shallow water. I remember that it was cool to be the rainbow trout so you could eat just about anything except the otter and osprey. Flacco Jones shares that he also appreciated Odell Lake. But one thing I remember fondly about the Commodore 64 was the plastic piano overlay that was only used for a few games, including Commodore Music Maker. And I don't even remember this. And I was a big Commodore 64 fan. I never saw that plastic overlay. That is awesome. There's a little YouTube here he linked in our forums saying, I didn't stick with it, but I wish I had, because looking back, it seems like an awesome way to teach music. I was too busy messing around with it. Awesome. Loki, you responded too that you also loved Odell Lake.
I completely forgot about it.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was a fun game to play. And I think I was also in the rainbow trout so you can eat everything.
What was it about that game that you remember? See, somehow this one was not on my radar. I never really played this game growing up. I mean, I kind of get why people like it now, but I missed out on it, unfortunately. It wasn't at my school, I guess.
I don't remember, to be honest, why I liked it. I think it's because I got to eat things, and that's funny.
You got to
Same
eat
reason
things.
why you got to hunt and kill everything in the hunting parts in the Oregon Trail.
And now look at it. All these years later, what does he do? He comes on OLR and he likes to eat things. There it is.
And I like to shoot things. in video games. So
All right. Thank you guys.
how we've changed.
Thank you guys for your responses. I'll be posting some follow-up topics throughout the week over at our forums at vognetwork.com. Check it out and feel free to start your own topic. You don't have to wait for me to say something. You can
What is
start
it
your
that
own
they
topic.
have in computer labs nowadays?
That's a really good question. I don't know. You will be finding that out pretty soon, I imagine, when Josh gets ready to start, grade school and so forth.
Yeah, well, not
It's
for a couple of years before.
Still a
he's
few
in
years away,
computer
but
labs, yeah.
But maybe our chat room can help us out. Maybe those that have children in grade school, because I know some of our listeners have children. What do they look like nowadays? I'd be very curious as well.
So that I'm sure they're not playing the old ass copy of floppy disk. What the fuck is this? It's
No, but I imagine at a very young age they are probably teaching typing. How to properly type, and there's probably a lot of games that reinforce that because it's so important. I would hope at a younger age there are simulations and experiences that talk about like privacy online and how to, be careful like what you write in an email and things like that. I hope they're kind of sharing those types of things as well. So I'd be curious, if our chatters know the answers to that question. What do computer labs look like nowadays? I want to know. All right. Meanwhile, while we wait for some answers to that question, let's go through some rapid-fire news tonight. Loki.
All right. Yeah, because, honestly, if they're not going to have... well, I'm sure they have updated versions of the Oregon Trail. The Binding of Isaac Rebirth. It's going to be getting some DLC, which they're titling it Afterbirth. That's awesome.
Oh, Lord.
They said it should easily extend the gameplay time by another 100 to 200 hours, which is just ridiculous.
Wow.
Things that it will include: over 100 new items in the game, a full new game mode that will totally change how you play, new challenges, new playable character, alternate final chapter, new alternate floors, new game ending, new bosses, new items, new co-op babies, new transformations. Sounds like a whole new game. So that should be coming out later on this year. So I'll take a look at that. And then, this is kind of cool. New features coming out to the Xbox One. Even though it is something that we've been able to do on PC and other consoles. But now, the Xbox One is going to be able to take screenshots. And you'll be able to share those screenshots. And how do we know this? Because Phil Spencer took a screenshot and shared said screenshot using the feature over Twitter. And so that's pretty cool. So you'll be able to do that as well as, video and stuff. And then this is all sorts of exciting. This brings me back to like Urgits, but they announced that Final Fantasy Dissidia is going to be getting a brand new arcade game, and basically a 3-on-3 battle game, and it looks awesome. And they're going to be talking about details of the game on April 10th.
So happy to hear that arcades are still getting games that are not just ticket spitters, except probably Japan only, right?
I'm just saying, though, hey, I'm all for the arcades getting this game, but can we get this game too? Because it looks awesome.
Only if it shoots out tickets is the only way you're going to see it over here, probably, sadly.
Hey, Nintendo. There you go. Have it spit out tickets that you can go redeem at, since they're embedded GameStop, go redeem them at GameStop, and then, yeah.
All right. Well, some news I have is PlayStation made some announcements about the PlayStation Network this week about converting what they call a sub-account to a master account. Now, a lot of our listeners might not be very familiar with this unless you, again, have children at home of a certain age, probably like a young teenager. You may have had that teenager have a sub-account. And what this was a way that somebody under the age of 18 could access PlayStation Network, but parents or guardians would still manage the online experience. So you have these sub-accounts. Well, PlayStation announced this week you will now be able to upgrade those sub-accounts to master accounts, which makes sense. If you think about it, PlayStation Network's been really up and running full speed since PlayStation 3. Some could argue PlayStation 2, but it's really been full speed since PlayStation 3. PlayStation 3 launched almost 10 years ago now. We're getting what it was 2006 when PS3 launched, right? So next year will be the 10-year anniversary. So a lot of those 14 and 15-year-olds that might have had some of these sub-accounts are going to be 24 and 25. So Then again, I don't know how long they've been offering sub accounts, but regardless, folks are getting older and they move on and might want to keep that old PlayStation account, so they can now migrate it from a sub account to a master account. More information available on the official PlayStation blog.
A size 0 Phillips screwdriver to do such train.
Stop. One of the producers over at Capcom, Ray Jimenez, would like to see a Bayonetta and Devil May Cry crossover, as I think a lot of us would like to see. So, this quote definitely raising some eyebrows this week. Quote, as a developer and a gamer, I would love to do that, and how that would happen. Well, let me just say to you, that would be the most insane gonzo action game you would ever see, with tag team back and forth, switching in combos with stylish Dante or whoever coming in and doing stuff. It would actually be a dream come true. I'm sure with Capcom it's possible to do really cool things, but I don't know if this would ever happen, but I can't deny that the thought of it would be totally mind-blowing.
I'm sure Platinum would be on board with doing something crazy.
Just like Tim Gunn says, make it work. I would figure out the license shit. Make it work.
Between the two companies, if I were to take a guess or a stab at who would not be on board with it, I would say it's Capcom. If Capcom's on board with it, then there should be no fucking problem with it. They should be able to do it.
Well, we'll see. Also, one other story here. We mentioned earlier about Ubisoft and the Wii U, and we know that Ubisoft kind of pulled their support of the Wii U and ended up canceling a few titles in the process. Well, some more information surfaced this week about what one of those Wii U titles was. It was actually a little bit of a party game. It was a game called Know Your Friends. This was dug up this week, and it was a quiz game that was developed by Ubisoft Paris, and it sounds like it was kind of a spiritual successor of sorts to We Dare, because some of the questions were flirtatious and maybe inappropriate.
And by all means, I'm glad they canceled it. It sounds fucking terrible.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were thinking like, oh man, Ubisoft canceled Zombie U 2, they suck. But then you hear that they canceled this, and you're
was
maybe
Assassin's Creed 4 on Wii U still?
I don't think it was, actually. So yeah. So there you go. In fact, I'm pretty sure it wasn't, because I think that was a lot of the rabble from fans behind that because of that. Anyhow.
Wait, are we on 4 or 5? I don't even remember what fucking Assassin's Creed we're on now. Wait, 4 is Black Flag. That was the last one, wasn't it?
I think Black Flag was out.
Yeah, because 3 was... Okay, yeah. Sorry, I can't keep track of them anymore.
All right. Dark Sakura.
Well, if you are a fan of Shingeki no Kyojin, which is also Attack on Titan, Capcom's making an arcade game.
God, it's like arcade resurgence again.
I know. You get to get eaten by huge giants and hide behind walls. I actually, the whole thing is, I would love to see how they actually incorporate the 3D movement.
You should be able to strap into like some sort of rig that kind of
that would be fun. What if it was like all that third, first person, or you had like a motion control to
oh god, I can't imagine how awesome that game would be.
At any rate, Atlas USA is rumored on doing a localization to Nintendo 3DS of a game based off of the anime. So, who knows?
I just wish we get more anime, because it was awesome.
I think the last thing that I watched were those first 2 seasons of Attack on Titan, and then I watched Kill la Kill.
Where is the second season?
Yeah, there were 2 seasons. They're not localized.
Damn it!
Talk to me.
I need the second season then. I can't speak Japanese, so
Sounds like Dark Sakura's offering to help you out over there.
No, I'll just fine. Internet, we'll do it.
Internet.
Insert eye roll here.
It's okay. He won't stop and ask for directions either.
So, you know what? This is the big bullshit. The whole transferring your old 3DS data to the new 3DS is really not so straightforward, and people are complaining about it a lot. And Nintendo finally just like, look, this is how you do it. Here's a video.
Yeah.
Get over it.
But it is worth noting that a lot of people are really fixated on the whole screwdriver, take the thing out and all this. And you can also transfer over Wi-Fi. It just takes a long time to do it that way. And
I do it overnight.
You exactly, or do it while you're listening to OLR, right? But also, I think one thing to consider is that if you have a big card in your DS now, you're going to have to get a big card in the new 3DS so that there's
And you're
room.
going to have to buy a power supply.
Yeah, or you're going to be doing the screwdriver trick. So it's just it's a little. I mean, I think we live in a world where computers in the 1990s. I take a disk out of this computer and I put it in this computer, and I can access everything on it. And it's like. I think the fact that it's not that easy with Nintendo is what's blowing people's minds.
I don't understand why you have the micro SD card hidden behind a compartment that requires a screwdriver to open it up. When I'm as far as I'm aware that there are SD card slots that can do the micro SD cards, and
the same reason there's no charger every nickel and dime.
Or it's still a proprietary charger instead of, I don't know, USB like every other fucking device on the planet.
Anyway, Mortal Kombat X, I want to say 10, but it's X, is going to try to have more realistic portrayals of women while you're, chopping body parts off and breaking faces and shit.
Unless, of course, those realistic, portrayals of women include them being part B, in which case, yes, that is true.
Basically, they said that we always want it to be realistic, and like really realistic, I guess. But they want to try to get proportions back to what would be on a normal athletic woman. Not like overly too big boobs that smack you in the face
Dead or
like
Alive.
Dead or Alive.
Because I'm sorry, yes, the ginormous breasts are what they're gonna what they're gonna see in Mortal Kombat, not the doing an uppercut into someone's groin, or perhaps breaking body parts in X-ray mode and stuff like that, or ripping someone in half. Yes, but it's a giant breast that they'll notice.
I was looking at one of the renders on here. It looks like it's the one of Kitana, and she does actually have like normal hips, I'd probably say not like, it's still like a supermodel type of level of, hip to waist ratio, but it does look like an actual human being and not like impossibly tiny with huge hips and boobs to infinity.
Remember when they did have those proportions accurate because they were actual human beings?
Right, back when they were scanned people, but you do have to see a little bit of irony in this game. That's like, we're not being overly sexual when it is the most over the top, violent, gore fest thing that's out there. You have to.
It's because it's a society.
You have to see a little bit of the humor in that.
It's the society we live in, because God forbid you show a little bit of nipple, but ripping someone's in half, and severing their body parts all over the place, that's okay.
And the reason why I bring that up is that I do love the Mortal Kombat series and all its goofy, ridiculous, over-the-top violence fun, but I don't like movies like Saw and things like that. I've mentioned this before on the show. But like with Mortal Kombat X, there's a lot where I'm looking at going like, okay, this is starting to look a little too real for me, and I don't know if I'm down with this anymore. I liked it when it was stupid, and I don't know. I have feelings, Darkstalker. I have a lot of feelings about Mortal Kombat X. Do you have feelings?
Feelings. Oh.
I'll take that as a no. All right. Let's get to the Fugle question of the week. Every week we ask a question of our Facebook and Google Plus communities, and you give us answers.
It's radio controlled.
Facebook.com/Orange Lounge Radio or Google.com/plus Orange Lounge Radio is the place where you can hit us up on social media. And this week we asked a question of our communities inspired by our guests tonight, as we usually try to do when we have guests on the show. We asked about, with Starr Mazer being this point-and-click and shoot-'em-up gameplay that has really impressive pixel art in the game. We thought, this has us thinking about gorgeous pixel art in some games made out of pixels. Maybe retro, maybe modern, because, a game like Starr Mazer is modern but still has that retro pixel look. So what is some of your favorite pixel art from across the years and years of gaming? Guillermo R. starts us off tonight on Facebook saying the Neo Geo in general served tons of amazing pixel art. The Metal Slug series truly shines by pairing gorgeous, humorous sprites with fluid animation. The upcoming Hyper Light Drifter looks damn beautiful as well. I'm sure Dark Sakura would back that response up. I know she's a Neo Geo fan as well.
I loves my Neo Geo. Just play Samurai Showdown. That's all.
Ragenator says, I don't have a single favorite, but 4 that are basically tied. Metal Slug, Neo Geo. Samurai Showdown 4, Neo Geo. Super Castlevania 4, Super Nintendo. And ActRaiser, Super Nintendo. All 4 are gorgeous, have great sound, and are a blast to play. Usurping Slurpee responds and says, Final Fantasy. Both old school and new, never fails to impress. I've also found Sonic the Hedgehog games aesthetically pleasing. Those are our answers over on Facebook, facebook.com/Orange Lounge Radio. Let's head on over to our Google Plus page and look at some of the answers there, which I notice is getting closer and closer, the number of responses we get on Google versus Facebook. We actually had the same number of comments on Google tonight we did on Facebook. I think that's because Facebook just basically doesn't show posts unless we pay to show them, which... Don't get me started on that, but So I do urge you, if you want to answer the question each week, make sure you visit our Facebook page directly, because I can't really afford to throw $20 at Facebook to boost every post. I'd rather use that money somewhere else for the show. So
weird that we have to pay them to have the posts that we put to our community shown to our community. Right? Yet those ads that they want us to see.
Yeah. Anyway, over on Google Plus, some of the answers over there. Ronnie B saying Minecraft, certainly a very contemporary choice that probably owes a lot of its success to its art style. Reddertainment says Miss Nude World 96. Oh, you. And lastly, Prince Peach Fuzz. I do love that name. Prince Peach Fuzz replies and says, 2 of my favorites would be King of Fighters 13 and Metal Slug 2. I got to say, for a Fugle Question of the Week tonight, I was not expecting, but I'm not surprised by, the amount of Neo Geo love there. I mean, literally half the answers all had some type of Neo Geo game mentioned in there, so very cool. Quickly around the room, any pixel art in games that you really are fond of? Pixel art.
More recently, To the Moon. That one's very just pretty overall. Really harkens back to the look for Final Fantasy VI. And it's really just a great story in pixel form.
Right. I would actually throw out there, some of my favorite was from the Super Nintendo era, and I really loved, again, maybe this is just my fan wank for this game, but The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. It was such a different aesthetic at the time than I think we were seeing in a lot of Super Nintendo games. So, I mean, the pixel art in that game is just amazing. And honestly, if you want to talk about a true Super Nintendo classic, look at essentially the very first game they ever put out on it. Super Mario World, I think, to this day, holds up as some of the pinnacle of pixel art that's out there today. Those are some of my choices. Loki?
Well, I'm a huge fan of Paul Robinson, and so I have to go with Scott Pilgrim.
Oh, okay.
It's just awesome. Along with that, it's not really pixel art, but I don't know, Journey has pretty good...
it's not really pixel art. You're cheating.
Broforce. I like Broforce. Is pretty
Astal.
Oh.
And the 3DO/Saturn era of, I would say, of pixel games. I mean, look at Symphony of the Night.
Yeah, true.
All the character designs on that, they look, and all of the 3D elements weren't so great on the Saturn, but any of the pixel era games that were on Saturn were absolutely amazing because it was built to do 2D better than anything else at the time.
True. All right. Great answers from around the room and from around the internet over on Facebook and Google. Let's get back into some news. Loki.
All right. So there was a little bit of funny business going on with Greenlight, and I guess I kind of understand why, but basically, Valve has put a stop to people using incentives like giving out free keys if you back them on Steam Greenlight to get their game pushed through. So a lot of the times it was, oh, hey, if you back our game and our game gets pushed through, we'll go ahead and give you a free key for it. Well, they didn't like that sort of manipulation, so they're going to be not allowing that anymore.
Yeah, I don't even understand, where's the money to be made then if you keep giving away the game for free? I guess.
Well,
you just
the money
hope
to be
for that
made is
inertia.
that you can't sell it on Steam until it passes Greenlight. So if you get enough people to back you, then you're going to be able to do that.
But then you gave it to all those people for free.
It doesn't matter though. You gave it to a few people for free, gets the word out about your game.
So it's the inertia.
Yeah, you can't sell it on Steam until you're on Steam. So, and basically they were saying when you gave away copies in exchange for votes, you really put us in a really uncomfortable position. We do not think these votes accurately reflect customers' interests, and it makes our job harder in deciding which games customers would actually buy on Steam. Additionally, when you give away copies of your games for votes, then every other developer on Greenlight thinks that's the thing they need to do to get noticed. And we don't think that is healthy for our system, really what the consumer wants. So, I am glad that they addressed that.
Yeah, it definitely sounded like something that needed to get shut down. So it was surprised it took this long to happen, but I guess probably finally just one too many of these campaigns.
Well, yeah, it sucks. I mean, because, they already have like a quality control issue, I think, with some of the games on Steam anyways, and it wouldn't help that this is what you're going to have to do to get your game through. I don't know.
All right. Well, I like these stories where we hear some good news, some feel-good news coming out of the gaming industry, and I think this is really cool. Sony is launching what's called PlayStation Heroes. It's a PlayStation 4 app that encourages you to make charitable contributions to charities like Make-A-Wish, the V Foundation for Cancer Research, USO. What you do, you're going to pay between $1, $15, and you get a dynamic game theme. Or you can pay $20 and you get a 4-theme bundle. And this money will actually go to these causes, and you get an entry essentially into this contest to play games with a celebrity. So you could actually play Shaun White, the snowboarder in Destiny. You could, this would be awesome. You could play Snoop Dogg in a game. That would be, oh my God, how high would he be doing that? It would be so much fun. And one of the Dodgers.
Can you play Ice-T in Call of Duty? Because that would be pretty awesome.
So, that's the app is not going live until February 24th, but you can pre-order the app now if you want. That's a really clever idea. It's a neat little spin on when Blizzard for World of Warcraft would sell the pet in-game, where all the money would go to charity. And I think a lot of people really liked participating in that. And they tend to do those about once a year. So I think this is a neat little spin on that, and certainly justifies the $4 for a theme or what have you if the money is going to a good cause. I think that's really cool. Dark Sakura.
Well, we like to sort of poke a little bit at Zynga because honestly, they deserve it. There is an analyst out there who is calling for Don Matrick to resign because it was actually done by BTIG analyst Richard Greenfield, said that it's a good idea for him to resign because their earnings have just been absolutely dreadful. He says, your strategy appears to be all over the place. Your core franchises have and continue to generate meaningful earnings, yet that is not completely offset by your attempts to find the next hit games in categories where Zynga has no underlying expertise. Yeah, they've basically lost $45 million last and fourth quarter, bringing their total year losses to $226 million. Yet, Matrix says it's a year of progress. What is your definition of progress?
I think it's one of those companies where it was too much too fast, with Farmville being really the first breakaway OMG crazy Facebook game. But I think we're kind of learning that, any company can kind of get that success. Now what is everybody playing on Facebook? It's that fucking trivia crack, and even I'm sucked into that, and it's on Android and iOS as well, and it ties into Facebook. Trivia crack. Have you guys played that? That's kind of like
No.
the new big thing right now.
No, but
people
it's
playing.
funny though. When I very first heard you talking about it, I thought you were just referring to it as Trivia Crack.
No, it is actually called
It's
Trivia
actually
Crack.
Trivia Crack.
Is the name of the game, which is hilarious because it's really just a straight up trivia game. It doesn't even make like drug jokes or whatever. But all the questions are crowdsourced, which is part of what makes it very interesting. But anyhow, all that talk aside, Zynga hasn't really had that. They're not coming up with these games. Other people are doing it. And I think that's part of why they're probably hurting a little bit. I still don't understand why Don Matrick would have left Microsoft to do that, although maybe, things at Microsoft have I hate to say it, but things at Microsoft have been looking up since he left, and they got a different guy in charge now who's got a very different approach, and a lot of people seem to like it. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. It's tricky. So, looking at our chat room over at live.vognetwork.com, Dungeon Buster says King actually had a good quarter. Yeah, interesting call out. King, of course, the makers of Candy Crush Saga, which I'm not really a fan, but that's still going. They had the sequel come out, and I saw the arcade machine, and I think I saw my brain from rolling my eyes so hard, but I get the feeling Candy Crush is really big with like kids and teens right now in that audience. So, that might be part of what's contributing to that. Dungeon Buster in our chat room over at live.vognetwork.com with a comment on Zynga saying, right now Zynga looks like a rudderless ship. They were trying to get into online gambling, but that hasn't panned out for them. All right, well, we'll see if he can turn it around in the next year, but I don't know.
Maybe we'll have a merge and we'll have King Nami.
Bite your tongue. Loki, quick, change the topic.
All right. Fortunately, I'm not going to change it to a good topic because that would just not be me. But EA, they've had a few layoffs over at EA Montreal, and basically saying that a small number of people have been laid off due to some staffing changes, basically to align their with their current development and service plans. And a small number of employees were impacted, and they are working closely with each of them to ensure the best transition possible. And it says the teams at EA Montreal, including BioWare, are working on exciting new projects, blah, 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 blah. So it's unfortunate, but at least it wasn't like a ton of people, apparently. But they didn't mention numbers, so. But that happens from time to time. I don't know.
Yeah, still never fun to report on layoffs, but hopefully the gaming industry will rally around these guys, as we've had other layoff stories happen. I don't remember if it was this week or last week, but it's worth mentioning that, remember, I think it was last week when Sony Online Entertainment is no longer Sony, right? And they're now the Daybreak. And they were like, oh, nothing's going to change. It's business as usual. Well, then huge layoffs happened there. And like one of the big mouthpieces behind EverQuest was one of the people laid off. And so it's, always kind of sad to see. But when those layoffs happened, at least, Twitter was really like, even Blizzard was out there going, hey, if you were impacted, check out Blizzard Careers and get in touch, So hopefully these folks are able to find placement somewhere else real quick, because it's always a bummer to hear about this stuff. All right. Moving on. So what's old is new again. This is really cool. Castlevania. You brought up Symphony of the Night earlier in the show, but without the original OG Castlevania game, not quite going back as far as Vampire Hunter, but pretty much Castlevania, going all the way back to what started it all. Castlevania has been ported to the Spectrum. That's right. The ZX Spectrum now has a Castlevania port. That is so awesome. This guy actually ported. It kind of looks really rough around the edges, especially the Simon Belmont sprite. But the Spectrum could only handle so much, right? No release date here as of yet. But it will have Castlevania style music, some improved detailed graphics.
We didn't really have the Spectrum over here anyway.
Exactly. Well, yeah, but there's still a lot of love for it online. People developing for it. And it's going to be fully English translated and so forth. So that's really cool. That's neat. So that's something that's going to be coming out on the internet. And you can check that out, more details at worldofspectrum.org. So, cool. It sounds like they kind of have some different stuff than what you might remember from Castlevania on the NES.
Well, because it was Akuma Joe Dracula.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get into tonight's mailbag. Every week you guys send us emails. Participate at
No, they don't.
orangeloungeradio.com.
No,
or
they
maybe
don't.
you don't. Do we have any emails tonight, Dark Sakura?
Yeah, we do, because only one person emails us every week now.
Only one person loves us?
There is only one.
There can be only one. All right. Well, who is our biggest fan that sent us an email?
YYR.
We love YYR. He's the best.
Yes. Hello, LR. Was hoping to listen live tonight, but then stuff happened. Well, fuck that stuff.
What? The Saturday Night Live special?
Eh.
You know they're going to sell that on DVD and have it on Netflix.
There
Judging all
What
of you
special?
watching live. It's their 40th anniversary was tonight. But
There is one
Does that mean
thing,
it's going to
though,
be funny again?
no, it'll be on Netflix.
that I really wanted to know your collective thoughts on. Tonight, I'm pretty sure you'll have covered Sega's recent financial woes and downsizing announcement. That is just sad to me, having played the arcade exclusive Let's Go Island and the recent Project Diva titles. I know that they're still capable of making fun games. Let's Go Island is actually really fun.
And I do just want to clarify, we did address this last week. It actually came up on last week's show. So
All right, but obviously not everything they've released lately has been quality. Man, Let's Go Island, though, is super fun. It's a messed up game.
But then you have the new Sonic game, which was...
This week.
no.
I came across an editorial on the internet this week titled, being redundant, Sonic the Hedgehog needs to die. The piece argued that Sonic the Hedgehog isn't relevant anymore, that there haven't been any truly great Sonic games in many years, that Sega just plain lost their way with the series, and that it should either end here or go on extended hiatus. The writer notes the fact that new Mario games are still fun to play because Nintendo takes what works from previous games and uses those elements again rather than Sega reinventing the wheel each time, ditching even the good things about previous games. Hell, I never thought they would outsource their flagship character to an outside developer. This is a mess. As ridiculous as it sounds, I actually think there's some merit to this idea. The average gamer just doesn't seem to trust the brand to deliver a fun experience anymore. I recall the Sega of the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, the Sega that cranked out one fun game after another, both in arcades and at home, and wonder if we'll ever see anything like that ever again. The closest thing I see to that now is the line of Sega 3D classics being released on 3DS. Fantasy Zone came out this week, and it is an absolutely great game. Of course it is, because it's Fantasy Zone.
I need to get that.
If a bit punishing at times. But I digress. What do you guys think of the idea of Sega putting their mascot in time out for a while? Feeling a bit blue, Aaron YYR.
I think that they I don't know. They did the same thing with Tomb Raider. There was a lot of like not bad, but not really good Tomb Raider games for a while, and they kept rebooting that series over and over and over again, and finally they got it right. So I just think the problem is like they don't listen to their criticism. It's like what they're trying to do is they're trying to make it accessible for a new audience. That's why they're trying to do like this kind of beat 'em up type style gameplay, but no one fucking wants to play that. They want to play Sonic the Hedgehog because Sonic runs fast, and they want
to continue to play Sonic the Hedgehog on the Sega Genesis.
Well,
basically,
it's just like even like with Sonic Generations or whatever. I don't remember if that was the one with the stupid Werehog mode, but like the 3D running scenes. Good.
Yeah.
The Werehog mode, crap. So what do they do for Sonic Boom? Hey, let's bring back the Werehog mode because people fucking love that. And let's give Sonic some more friends and let's make him look all fucked up looking. That is like, it's like who came up with these ideas? It's stupid. And that's the problem is like that, and they don't understand why their game's failing. That's why your game's failing. You're not going to, how you're going to reach a new demographic is by making the game good to where people are like, oh, you should totally play this. Kids are going to play a game if it's fun. They're not going to play a game because it's edgy or I don't know what you think makes a successful kids franchise. I don't know.
Well, it's like if you take Sonic Generations when it came out, you know what the fun parts of that game were? Playing old school Sonic. The rest of it, you could give or take, it was more Sonic colors.
But now I'm worried that, with these layoffs, what Sega is going to become, and I think this is part of what we talked about last week, is that it's just basically going to be old school Genesis games on mobile phones and like old school, like, yay, people want to play, but now it's all mobile and all this. And
it's okay. We don't need Sonic because there always is a chance to bring back Jazz the Jackrabbit.
Well, we did have the Toe Jam and Earl thing not that long ago. That's a thing. You know what I think is honestly going to happen, YYR? I think, sometimes there's a phoenix that rises up from the ashes, and we see this happen in gaming a lot, and especially with the Kickstarter world that we live in now. And, you've seen this happen with Mega Man, and now we're even seeing, maybe this Banjo-Kazooie thing is going to go Kickstarter. I don't know. But I would think that maybe some of these people with the layoffs might go forth and create something new. We were joking about Sonic the Hedgehog type of thing, but I think there's going to be those developers that leave.
What is Donkey Kong?
to make the game that they want to make.
The mighty number 9 to the Mega Man.
Exactly. And I think that's what's ultimately probably going to happen in this. Does Sega need to walk away from Sonic completely? Not necessarily. I think it's more they just need to. How are they really using him? Is what it's about.
Well, they're trying to spin off the brand into like a TV show and stuff like that, and maybe that'll get more people following it. But let's be honest, the quality of game that they're trying to tie in with these TV shows aren't exactly great. Skylanders is okay, I guess, but I mean, I don't see that as I don't know. Me personally, I don't see it as a big, strong brand. Like if it didn't have the collectible figure part of it,
yeah, I was gonna say
no. If it didn't have the collectible figure part of it, I don't think anyone would give a shit about Skylanders.
Let's get to some comments from our chat room over at live.vognetwork.com. Rama says Sega is going to end up like Sunsoft, closing shop in the U.S. and pushing out mobile titles. Tiger Claw says, I think the problem people have with Sonic is that they expect that sense of speed like in the original games. Sonic today is more platformy, and they want the games to play like the originals. Dungeon Buster points out Sega's other devs are actually doing pretty good, though. Alien Isolation passed 1.7 million sold, if I recall correctly. Cial asks, what the fuck did they do to Knuckles? SH100 Matt says, I remember running out and getting Conker's Bad Fur Day as a kid because it was edgy and raunchy. Ragenator says, for the record, I support Sega and have been buying their games. Rama going on as a follow-up to Tiger Claw's comment saying, the old schoolers need to understand that there is a change and the old school gamers aren't the majority anymore. The games are going to get geared towards a newer, broader generation, even though it won't work all the time. ¿Por qué no los dos?
So I'm just saying, if they're gonna do that, then cool. If that game was successful and I just didn't like it, then that's fine. Then everything has changed.
There's a lot of successful games I don't like.
If it was
a lot of sports games.
If it was successful and I just didn't like it, then that's fine. Then whatever. But if it's just it didn't sell well either, so it's not that everything's changed. It's just that they decided, I don't know, that they wanted to go this direction with it. It's just not working for them. And they've tried it several times, and it just hasn't worked for them. So maybe you should go back to and look at what made your game good in the first place and stick there. And how about, here's my free advice to you. Stop giving him more fucking friends. Nobody likes Sonic's goddamn friends. They came there for Sonic the Hedgehog, not friends with Sonic the Hedgehog.
No. They need to do the Amy Rose spinoff. Amy goes around beating shit up with her hammer.
If Amy is going to murder all of the other Sonic friends, then I'm fine with that.
We need to get fucking George R.R. Martin in on this shit to fucking get it just dialed down to pure Sonic the Hedgehog, and I think we've got something there.
You know what? I have to say, I love Knuckles.
Yeah, but not new Knuckles.
Not that overroided shit thing.
Sorry, the George R.R. Martin comment has me just cracking the hell up. That's great. All right, so there. I guess that's the answer to YYR's question. We need George R.R. Martin to fix it. In about 50 years, whenever he actually writes a book. Oh God! All right. There it is. That's our mailbag tonight. Let's get to the FUs of the week. Every week we like to give our little rants on our show. Why? Because tradition. We get upset sometimes and have to vent a few things.
Oh, this is bad. Here is justice. Here is punishment. This is fucked up.
F you to the little bit of a headache I have right now, and F you to my hip. I'm too young for this shit.
But if you get a cane, look on the bright side. We can go to Disneyland and cut all the lines.
I'm going to shake it at people, tell those kids to get the fuck off my lawn, and yell at clouds.
Well, we're all hoping it's nothing too serious. That
Well-
if you do have a cane, it's temporary.
Wouldn't it be though awesome if I have to come in like in a half body cast or something?
No.
If I have to have surgery, and then I can
No.
just say, I'll be sitting here with a tub of pinkberry and my cane.
No. Then you'll be the one Skyping into the show for 6 months like he had to do last year. So
Well, yeah. Oh, and to go ahead and let people know, I was in a car accident, 2 car accidents a few years ago, and screwed up my hip, and I made the stupid mistake of not really getting it taken care of properly. And my doctors were just like, oh, it'll be fine, do this physical therapy, bleh. But so I do put part of the responsibility on them, although I should have been more proactive, I think. And I've been going to a chiropractor regularly, but my hip has actually been getting progressively worse, and now it's pretty much where it hurts all the time when I walk with a limp. So yeah.
Well, we have a mutual friend who's also, not an old man by any means, who had to have like a similar surgery, and he was out for a little while, but he's pretty much out and about now, like nothing
Yeah.
else.
So they said low end it could be bursitis, high end it could be surgery, but whatever happens, I'll just deal with it.
Loki.
I'm just gonna mention it just because I'm disappointed. 'Cause I was a pretty big fan of the show, and I can't understand what it is with not even necessarily Law and Order, because a lot of these cop drama shows just do it. And I'm not even talking necessarily about the gaming things. Why is it that fucking TV shows can't do technology correctly? And I understand that, yes, your audience might not be in tune with like lingo and stuff like that, but it was so fucking retarded that it was insulting. Like, just to anybody that has any intellect at all. I just don't understand how this is a thing. So, that's it. And to end to this stupid cough that won't fucking go away. It's been like 4 weeks now, and I need this fucking cough to go away. It's like annoying.
My FU of the week goes to my voice. Even though I don't regret my short-lived retirement, and I'm sure I'm going to be the butt of the joke of all my friends that I couldn't stop doing it even though I retired. I don't regret that at all, but I do regret maybe that I had to yell a little bit too much. And FU to the computer that plays the movie for freezing up, and it had to be rebooted like as the movie was about to start. So I had to go on stage and basically fill time for 10 minutes. So I want to say thank you to these podcasts where I've been basically, with all due respect, BSing for 3 hours a night here and an hour on Horde House and whatever side projects I do. That has given me the skill to improv a little bit, because last night I had to fill like 10, 15 minutes of time in an audience of 500 people all look at, and here I don't have to look at you, but there they were looking right at me, and you got hecklers and everything, but thank God for this podcast. So F you to that computer for freezing up and putting me on the spot last night. But I had a lot of fun, and I wouldn't. I don't get to do that type of stuff enough. It's a real bummer. I never get to do that stuff in the gaming world and so forth. But I really love doing it over in Cult Cinema, doing the hosting and all that stuff. So yeah. But F you to my voice for maybe pushing it a little too much last night. Having fun. All right, just a couple more stories for you guys, and then we're going to get to our phone calls at 1-877-GAME-OLR or our username on Skype, Orange Lounge Radio. Loki.
Yes, so this is kind of cool. Even though you may not necessarily own a Vita or PlayStation TV or even certain types of Xperia mobile phones from Sony, you will still be able to do remote plays if you have an Android device. And this is because they have taken the Android app that runs on these Xperia phones and have hacked it in a way to allow it to run on several Android devices. So now you can play, PlayStation 4 games and remote play them on there. You can actually, sync it up with there. They also have, I guess, different ways you can do this. I guess you can connect a DualShock 3 or DualShock 4 to the phones as well, but you're going to need an app for that. And, of course, you're going to need to root your phone to allow that to work. But I think that's pretty sweet that they're going to have you do that. And that combined with, just the stuff that they announced for like Windows 10 and things, I'm looking forward to be able to play more stuff remotely. Although I don't think my phone's going to run this because my phone has enough trouble just loading a picture, let alone running my PlayStation 4 streaming over Wi-Fi. I just don't think that's going to be a thing. But hopefully, even though this is kind of a hack right now, hopefully that they do have some sort of wide support for it coming soon. Maybe officially. Although, I guess they want to sell some Vitas.
Yeah, if you take away one of the biggest reasons why people are buying Vitas, then, for this remote play.
I don't know. It's pretty cool, though. I'd be curious to see how well it works.
Yeah. Dark Soccer, you have something?
Well, yeah. This is actually a little something I might have mentioned it earlier. But there is going to be a Final Fantasy VII Symphony concert in Tokyo this summer.
Oh, cool.
It's going to be on June 21st. It will be the first of Game Symphony Japan concert series. And it will be the one to feature music by Uematsu. And it's going to be all Final Fantasy VII, including One Wing Angel, who...
With a full choir and everything? I mean, that's the way to do it, right?
Yeah, and looking at where this is going to be held, it looks like it's going to be it's going to be at the Centauri Hall in Akasaka. So, go. I want people to be there and cover it for us.
All right. Well, let's go to one more story tonight, and this is about Nintendo and mobile phones. That's right. That day might have finally come here. Okay, no, we're not jumping to conclusions that big. But there is some very interesting movement happening here, and that is some comments from Satoru Iwata this week talking about Miis on mobile devices. Quote, "It would be fun for players to use their Mii characters as icons on social media. We are currently developing an application that will allow users to do that." So it sounds like, potentially, maybe Nintendo is working on something that would just allow you to import your Mii onto your mobile phone so you could save a picture and use it as your Facebook picture, your Twitter picture. Funny enough, I actually use mine on Twitch. If you go to my Twitch channel, and I swear this isn't just a cheap plug, but if you go to my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Rob Roberts, I actually use my Mii as my little profile picture because I thought, it's appropriate. No, it's not impossible. You don't need a mobile phone because Miiverse is on the internet. So I went to one of my Miiverse posts, and what does it have? It has your little Mii face next to it. So I basically jacked the picture from Miiverse and used that as my profile picture. So
that's the app that they have. Just go to Miiverse, download your picture.
Did they ever release Miiverse as an app? I didn't think they did.
It's not an app. It's just,
I know it's like a mobile-friendly website.
They're making an app, so that's what the app will be. It's just the text saying go to Miiverse and download your picture.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, so if they do end up doing a Mii app that has social kind of integration or whatever, this would be a big step for Nintendo because it would be essentially mobile. And we haven't really seen anything like that since the Pokédex in 2012, which, to be fair, was more of the Pokemon Company, which obviously is a huge arm of Nintendo. Loki, you might be having mic problems over there. I don't think they all heard the comment.
Sorry, yeah, the switch keeps sliding.
Oh, no. Is that mic breaking? Do we need to get you a new one?
It's fine.
All right. Stop fucking with it and it won't break.
Sorry,
I know habit.
I'd rather not cough into the mic.
Oh, fair enough. All right. Live radio, guys. Sorry, we are. I don't always see the audio live because I'm always looking at chat or I'm looking at the story I'm trying to read, so my eyes are not always on the audio, so sometimes I miss it. Anyhow, that was it for stories, though. That Mii mobile app was the last thing I had. So we're going to go ahead and open up the Skype line over at 1-877-GAME-OLR, or our username on Skype is Orange Lounge Radio, if you want to give us a call. I will mention this for last-minute stories tonight. Tiger Claw sent me this link here. I do want to mention this. And this is something I remember reading about earlier in this week, too, but that the TV service on the Wii U is going to be going away in Europe. TV is not going to be happening in Europe anymore. It sounds like it was just too hard. It's a little more complicated in Europe when you have all these countries and programming schedules and so forth, that it wasn't really worth it to try and put that all together. So TV in Europe going away, but probably hardly anyone was using it anyway. I don't know. But anyway, the phones are lighting up, so let's get to it. Hi, you're on Orange Lounge Radio. Who's this? Hello, you're on Orange Lounge Radio, and your mic might be muted. Who's this?
Yeah, my mic was muted. Hey, what's up? This guy Judo.
It's like me.
Yeah, there
I'm
you
calling in.
See, it's not just you, Loki. All right. What's up, Kaijudo?
Not much. I wanted to address what you were talking about earlier with the people being into their retro games and wanted to be retro and missing the old Sega.
Sure.
And I think I have an answer for that. It's I've actually been analyzing that and just trying to figure out what is it about people that love these retro games. Because me, I'm more into innovation. I want the games to move forward. I like when they do new things. So I'm not really in that category, but I wonder about people that are. And I kind of compare it to, have you ever heard of people who say that they've gone through drug addiction? And the key thing that they say about drug addiction is that the reason why they continue to take drugs is because they're chasing that first high. That first high that they got from that drug is what they've been after. Every other high that they got doesn't compare to that first one. And their whole entire life of their addiction, they're chasing that one high. And I think that's what's going on with a lot of gamers who love retro stuff. Like, they got such a kick out of that game when they were a kid, or whatever the experience was, that they're just continuing to chase that same experience over and over again and not trying to find something new to experience.
That is a very, with all due respect, a very strange comparison, but it kind of works. Like, I don't know how I feel. I don't know how that makes me feel that your comparison kind of works.
Games are an addiction. I think some people do actually get addicted to games.
I think a lot of people actually.
It can be considered a drug.
I think a lot of people get addicted to games, especially in the MMO world where things are very social that we live in. But anyway, that's a little.
No, I wouldn't even go that for
Yeah, that's a little different than what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think the category that I'm talking about, those are the people that actually don't want to socialize in a game. They're the ones who want their single player. They want to watch Sonic run through a loop multiple times over and over again. I don't see them as actually being social. I think the MMO crowd is a little different than than your average single player gamer.
Obviously, your comments are getting a lot of
course.
lively responses in chat. Fifth Dream says, "Nah, I just have fun playing them. I'm not into trying to feel a thing." Dungeon Buster says, "Fun games are fun games, regardless of their time frame." That might actually have been to another comment that they're talking about some game playthroughs. But anyway, what I wanted to say with that is that, we're not saying that if you enjoy retro video games, you're a drug addict. That's not what Kaijudo was trying to say. But
actually, I am saying that. No.
I definitely see that angle of, and you see this a lot, ever since emulators broke on the scene. This is a big thing, where you will download a ROM. Because remember, and the reason why I say it this way is because emulators were before Virtual Console. And I realize some of you might be frowning at, I'm talking about, very gray area of legal things, but I just think this is something a lot of people have done, where you are downloading a NES ROM to play on this NES emulator you get on your PC, and you play it for literally 45 seconds, where you're like, oh yeah, I remember this. Wow, it's not really what I remember.
Right.
All right, next game. It's
right.
It's like that how things in our memory are so much different than maybe what they are now. In our interview earlier tonight, I think Don made this point when he was talking about games that he was playing when he was 9, and he wanted to make the game that he thought he was remembering, basically.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I remember going to Pirate Bay and finding a whole bunch of I think they had almost like every single it was Super Nintendo. Every Super Nintendo game ever made. And I was like, all right, I got to download this. I'm going to be playing all these games. These are the games I always wanted as a kid. I haven't even gotten through 10% of those games yet.
Yeah.
It's just sit on my computer. It's just that whole feeling that you get from it. I don't care what, who was it? Raging Eater? Who was it? Fifth Dream? Whoever. It is a feeling. That feeling, that fun that you call it, that's a feeling. You're chasing that feeling.
Yeah.
You want that feeling again.
SSG 100 Matt puts this in a really good way, is saying, I can see people chasing nostalgia to try to rekindle those early moments from their first time.
Right.
I think that's a really good way of putting it. Like, remember, and I don't know how old you are, Kaijudo, or what your frame of reference would be, but I know for me, when I was I think it was 9 years old, when Super Mario Brothers 3 first came out on the NES. And I remember that feeling the first time you go to World 4, specifically World 4. Anybody remember what World 4 in Super Mario Brothers 3 is?
I don't remember.
It is...
Boot.
Nope.
The
Close. Giant. It's the giant level. It's the world of
Oh,
giants.
yeah, that was great.
And it's like the first time you see the giant Goombas and the giant turtle. And I remember, 9 years old, oh my god,
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah,
this is so cool.
Except like their dead animation was still the regular size.
You're right. But now you go back and you look at it now and you're like, this was actually kind of like the way they did it. They really cut a lot of corners how they did this, but it's just funny. Like, what memory kind of does to things like that.
Yeah, I remember playing that game with my friend, Super Mario Brothers, and Super Mario Brothers 3. And for like a good, I would say 20 minutes, I just kept making Mario run back and forth because I couldn't believe that you can run back to where you started. Because, remember in the other Mario games and just a bunch of platformers, it's like once you move past that edge, you can never go back, Yeah. And that, that's one of the main reasons why I really got into sandbox games later on, like, 3D sandbox games, was just for the simple fact that I can go wherever I want in a game. Like, one of the things that always bugged me as a kid playing a lot of platformers and games like that was you couldn't go back. You couldn't explore that place over the mountain that you're running by. Like that type of stuff is what led me to want to get more into innovative gaming and not so much being trapped in the whole retro thing. Just being stuck in that one spot.
Sure, and that's a selling point for a lot of games now. Like I remember when Elder Scrolls Oblivion was first, they were talking about, you see that mountain in the distance, you can go climb it. That was a huge part of that game. Dungeon Buster in our chat, one more comment here, and then I'll wrap up. Dungeon Buster saying Space Invaders, Pac-Man, Super Pac-Man, still great regardless of having come out decades ago. You can't really fault players for looking to games today, modern or retro, that try to capture the essence of being as fun in their own way. So.
Well, I'm gonna disagree with that. I'm just gonna end out by just saying that same thing with developers. Like they're still chasing that retro format, and because of that, they start to fail because obviously it's not gonna be. You're not gonna get that same feeling again. You can't step in the same water twice. So it's like when they try to do HD remix and we're gonna add more friends with Sonic. When they try to do that type of stuff, they're killing the nostalgia. So they've already screwed themselves over. The only thing they can possibly do is make it new, make it fresh, and not so much, try to recapture that because it's locked away in the old game, the way the old game worked.
Yeah,
bugs and everything.
It's tricky. I kind of think sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Like, the Sonic the Hedgehog Part 4 or whatever, that was a pretty retro-inspired thing, but it wasn't really, it wasn't that great. Like, it was just kind of missing something. But
missing the soul, that, that feeling that you got when you were a kid or however you were when you first played it. Not even a kid. I'm pretty sure there could be a 60-year-old who's playing Mario right now for the first time and getting his kicks out of it. So it's not so much an age thing, it's just that first initial experience that you had with the game.
But then you look at something like New Super Mario Brothers on Wii U, and it's like that's basically Mario Brothers 3 in today's.
Right? Yeah.
It's basically what it is, but it's awesome. So I think again, Nintendo, it has a very strange way of being able to succeed here where a lot of other companies don't succeed. Anyway, Kaijudo, we could probably do a whole show on this. I appreciate your call. Good thinking.
No problem. Have a good night.
Take care, buddy. Bye. All right, if you want to give us a call, 1-877-GAME-OLR or a username on Skype, Orange Lounge Radio, all one word. Loki, do you have any last-minute stories for us, or Dark Soccer, if you had anything else you want to throw out here?
Yes, I do have something.
Okay, well, we'll put that on hold right until we get this next call. Sorry, our phone's just lighting right up tonight. A lot of people want to get in. Hi, you're on Orange Lounge Radio. Who's this?
Hey, it's Ranma.
Hey, Ranma. How you doing, buddy?
I like your Artemis hat.
I love your hat.
Thank you. Do
What's
you also
up?
see what else I'm wearing?
I do. You're wearing your Vogue shirt. You must be coming back from the DC Con, Katsucon.
Yes, I've been home for maybe about a good hour and a half, and Jesus Christ, it's cold as balls out.
I bet it is. You know what? I got to say, I went to Katsucon many years ago at this point. It was a while ago. That was... I think I remember I debuted a DDR song at my panel at Katsucon because I had like a soundtrack or whatever. And that was so many years ago. Oh, my God. So anyway, but I had a good time there. But thank God it wasn't Snowmageddon the year I went because I wouldn't know what the hell to do.
Listen, I'm just laughing at people who are trying to beat the snow, and I'm guilty of it doing it this year. My thing is this. Yes, you could beat the snow getting down there, but what are you going to do when the snow traps you? Cat Snow Con 9, that's Katsucon 2003. A bunch of us were stuck in the hotel in Crystal City till Tuesday.
Big snow, big snow. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when it snows in you? Anyway. I just hope that doesn't happen to me at PAX East. All right, well, what's on your mind tonight? I don't know if you're calling to talk about the con or something else or what.
Oh, no. I was going to talk about the whole old school retro thing, the whole issue with Sonic. And I see this in the gaming community, and I'm starting to see it in the anime community as well. I mean, not even that. I'm just seeing it in various communities and genres. It's like, I love my old school game, and I do. Don't get me wrong. I don't mind playing an updated version or something new, and not always works out for me. I fall in the minority of people who hated Super Mario 64. Because you mean to tell me I gotta go back into the level 7 times to complete this? Yeah, no, I'm not doing it anymore.
Hate is a strong word, Rama, but I'm with you to a point. I kind of think we look back on that game way too fondly. That's my personal opinion, though, and I think a lot of the 2D versus 3D mindset comes into play. I don't want to start a whole debate, but I don't think you're as alone as you think you are, Rama.
Yeah, but with the other 3D games, like the Mario 3D, I like those. Those were fun.
Yeah.
Because you kept going. Now, I understand, the whole thing with Sonic Boom, and I have a lot of friends in the Sonic community that were losing their shit over it because it was so different. And all I said was, you do realize us old school gamers now, we're the minority. They're not listening to us. They're going to make the games, design it for the newer generation coming in. So if we see Sonic Boom and we don't like it, something that maybe your nephew or niece is going to see it, is going to want it and play it. Granted, the sales of Sonic Boom wasn't as good.
Yeah, I was going to say that didn't happen, though.
True, but there are other. I would say, but as you look at Nintendo, they did something different. The latest Mario games aren't really old school. They did a spin on it, and it works.
Yeah.
Pretty much, whether it's a success or failure, these businesses are going to go after the newer generation because there's more of them than there is of us.
Well, like I said in response to that, though, earlier when it had come up in chat, I was kind of like, well, why can't we have both? Because I think there's still certainly a big gaming audience. I mean, many years ago when gaming was first born, you probably didn't have a lot of 30 and 40-year-old gamers. You certainly had some. I mean, a lot of that age group was making the games at the time, but it wasn't as mainstream for that age group. But anybody our age, Ranma, anybody our age knows who Mario and Link and Sonic are. Like, anybody our age, seriously, unless they're like Amish or something, knows these characters. They're part of our culture now.
I know, and it's why, that's how I look at how Nintendo rehashes the old games, brings back an HD. And I know we're all like, Nintendo, stop with the HD remixes. But meanwhile, they put them out and they sell like candy.
Yeah.
It's gold because some of these are great titles, and I understand that. Okay, youngins, come here. Check out one of these classic games done up for your new console, play it, and enjoy it, And I get with that, which is why I would love to see, for the 3DS, maybe Sega redoing the Sonic titles with the 3D effects of the background. That would be fun. Maybe Nintendo will get all the Mario titles together, 3D-fy up the backgrounds and play it for fun. That would be cool. I would love that, but
I want to say, and I could be wrong, but I feel like this is something that happened, and maybe Bobby or somebody that was at that same E3 would remember this, but I want to say, when they first showed the 3DS, and you had to wait in that big line and go see the 3DS for the very first time, they were showing old school NES titles redone in 3D, and there were things like Xevious and some titles that never got that 3D treatment, just like we never did get the 3D movies. And I think Sonic was one of those games they showed.
Wait, I can tell you this now because I went on to the Nintendo Club Rewards. They have Xevious and Twinbee Urban Champion. They 3D-fied those. You can get them.
Okay. Yeah, those were done a while
All right,
ago.
sorry. So I named a game that they did do, but I know there were games we saw on the show floor, retro games with the 3D spin that they never put out for public consumption for whatever reason. Maybe somebody at that E3 can remember, but I thought Sonic was one of them.
Probably, but I mean that would be pretty cool, But hey,
yeah. All it was really, I mean, it's not as fancy as you would think. All it was that, they could put one sprite layer on this 3D layer, and they could put another sprite layer on this 3D layer. So it was kind of what you say. The background was in the background, the foreground was in the foreground, and that was the 3D, So, anyway, just throwing it out there. For whatever reason, I don't think it ever came out. No.
Oh well.
Yeah, but neither did we. Also got to see Tangled. The trailer was playing on a 3DS, and we never. I mean, short of Dinosaur Office, we never saw 3D movies.
So
on
they
3DS.
never did the Sonic one.
I don't think so.
Because I'm looking at a review for it.
Unless it's part of that Sega Classics thing.
It may have been the Sega Classics.
Aha! So maybe it does exist, and I'm sure there's somebody who might have downloaded it. Keep in mind, I don't have the entire contents of the 3DS store memorized. Any game I buy, I pretty much buy with my own money.
The M2 did the
so then maybe they do have one. There it is. Well, there you go, Rama. You need to open up your 3DS and go on the shop, and so do I. Yeah, some people in chat are saying Orange Right says 3D Sonic happened.
All right, then I'm going to have to check it out because if it's really 3D, I may just have to pick it up because I think that would be pretty fun. I think something like that would kind of bridge the gap between the old school and the new schoolers. It's just that twist that will work so well.
Yeah. How hard would it be, though, for them to just configure like the old games? Like, here's each sprite layer is on a different, each layer of sprites is on a different level or something, and just you may have to tweak that per game, but I wouldn't see that be that hard to port that stuff over if they have an emulator for that.
Yeah, I don't know because I don't program games, but I can't imagine it's insanely difficult, but maybe you run into other weird issues with the new display and things like that. Maybe that's where things get tricky. I don't know. All right. Anyway, Rama, I'm going to let you go to try to squeeze in one more call, but thanks so much. Hope you had fun at the con.
We will, and we'll be doing a full review with me, Ari, Mako-chan, and Avalon Cosplay. So get your booze ready, get the drinks ready. We're going to do it up.
All right, it's going down Tuesday here live at VOG Network on Anime Jam Session.
Yeah, and before I get here, this is my last thing. Ook-chan, I got something to show you. Look at the webcam.
It's a copy of Ranma on...
I have that game.
That looks like a Super Famicom cart, not
It is.
Yeah.
This one is Ranma 1/2, the first fighting game that came over as Street Combat.
Yep.
I rented that game once, Ranma, with the freaking converter.
Yeah. And this is the third fighting game, which was they called Super Battle. It's supposed to come over as Ranma 1/2 2, Anything Goes Martial Arts, but due to poor sales, it never happened.
That one's the fun one. The second one was the one we actually got over here as Ranma 1/2 Hard Battle.
Yep.
Wow. And that was the one that had the Gambling King, had pantyhose in it.
Yeah, and if you beat the game with pantyhose, the game would glitch.
Yep, was glitch.
All right. Well, Rama, thanks for the call.
No problem.
All right, take care, buddy.
You too.
All right. 1-877-GAME-OLR or username on Skype, Orange Lounge Radio if you want to give us a call. Loki, that story you were going to read that I cut you off on.
Sorry. I was going to mention that apparently with a recent interview with Giorgio Moroder, apparently he's working on a new video game soundtrack for a new Tron game, and he's also working with Skrillex on that. So there's a new Tron game in the works. He says, according with ClashMusic.com. I'm going to meet with Skrillex next week. When I'm back, I'm doing music for a game for Disney's Tron. We have about 5 themes, electronic stuff, and let's see if he's interested in remixing or reworking one of the songs.
I have a lot of conflicting feels about this. On one hand, I'm like, yay, Tron. On the other hand, All right, well, we'll see. We'll see.
I'm just all about a new Tron game. Come on.
I guess. That's true, though. Tiger Claw in chat, Giorgio Moroder is a legend. That is true. So we'll see. I got to give it a shot, right? It's Tron. All right, let's see if we can get in one more call here. Hi, you're on Orange Lounge Radio. Who's this?
Hi, this is Raginator.
Hey, Raginator. What's up, buddy?
Not a whole lot. Just trying to stay warm.
Yeah, you look cold. Hope everything's all right.
Oh, it's beyond cold. It has to warm up to be cold. It's like last time I checked, it was like negative something degrees Fahrenheit here.
Oh my God!
And that's not even taking into consideration wind chill effect.
Do you own Xbox 360s? If so, turn them on.
What's on your mind tonight, buddy?
Well, since a lot of the talk on tonight's show has either been retro games and or Sega, so on and so forth, I thought I'd carry on the trend and talk about Sega and their issues in the retro games. I know I kind of touched on the subject a few times before on the show and maybe even Bobby's show, but so I know I'm going to sound like a broken record. But do you think that Sega could help their position, their financial position, if they re-release more of their retro games above and beyond what they already released? I know that a few years ago they already released Sega Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection on 360, PS3, and then of course there's the stuff on Steam. Plus there's the Dreamcast Collection, and I think and plus the Res was re-released. And then I think Nice Into Dreams was re-released.
That's a good question. A lot of these games kind of get re-released, and I remember that Sonic Ultimate Collection was a pretty damn good collection. And I think part of what makes these games worthy of your dollar is that. And this is, if you think about it, I've been nagging on this with Virtual Console for a very long time, is that straight up ports of the game only go so far. And I think, that's cool if on the Wii you buy your straight up port of the game. On the Wii U, asking you to do it again is a challenge, but okay, it does look really good on the gamepad and so forth, and they do have the discount, so whatever. But, my question is, when are things going to really push forward, and when will we see, achievements or some type of online component?
Or if you buy it on the Wii U, you have it on the 3DS or something.
Or co-op or something like that. And so I sort of say that's where game companies can kind of get away with putting out retro classics again, is what is that new thing? How does this retro classic tie into the new thing in gaming right now, be it social integration or whatever it is? And I think if a game can do that, it tends to usually do a little better than, here it is, just a straight up port of the game from a few years ago, again and again and again, especially when that goes over to mobile. It's like, because usually the controls don't translate as well. But that's, again, a lot of that is opinion, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, one thing I was going to mention is that there are certain games like the ones I mentioned before you replied. Those have been released again and again and again, and that being said, people can easily get their hands on them, no problem. Whereas other games, like the vast majority of the games for this, let's say the Sega Saturn, be it Panzer Dragoon or Mr. Bones or any other game that you could possibly name, plus the vast majority of the Dreamcast games, haven't been re-released to the best of my knowledge. And I'm one of the few people that really hasn't bought a whole lot of Sega systems. And in fact, the only ones I ever bought were the Genesis, and I didn't even get that until 2002. So if I had the opportunity to buy Panzer Dragoon, for example, on Steam, if I had the opportunity right here, right now, I'd buy it in a heartbeat. I can't speak for anyone else, listening or you guys, but.
So I think you're talking about, why do these companies kind of limit their offerings in a way? It's like, why not, if you get that one Genesis game emulated, get them all emulated, make some money. I don't, and again, because I don't program and I don't budget or whatever, I just play and have a big fat opinion like a lot of us do. I don't know to what extent they have to go to get a game emulated, but maybe they have to say, are there a lot of people like Ragenator out there that would buy Panzer Dragoon to make an emulation worth it? And sometimes they may think, that the demand really isn't there. But that's where fans have to speak up, and your voices are heard on their forums and, professional emails to some of their channels and so forth, and Twitter and so forth. You can kind of be heard. And hopefully it doesn't fall on deaf ears.
Yeah, one last note before I do let you go
Sure.
is that, yes, I know, there are, how should I say, less than legitimate ways of getting those games. And I know technically that's possible, but that is at best a gray area, and that's one route that I really don't want to go. I would rather give, Sega or Nintendo or whoever, my money for a legitimate copy. That way I can support those companies, give them my funds. They would, help fund their next project. And there's no telling if the next project is going to be a good game or a bad game. But
Right.
the point is, I want to support the developers and publishers.
And I think that's good, and I think that's what a lot of people need to remember is that, games aren't made for free. You wouldn't work for free. So,
Exactly.
why do we want our game devs to do that? So, you have to think about that every time you might use shady methods to obtain a game. So, anyway, Raginator, appreciate the call. Have a good one. Stay
Sure.
warm.
I will do. Take care.
All right, bye-bye. All right, that's going to do it for the Skype line tonight. I'm going to go ahead and close it up because we're about to wrap up shop here at Studio OLR. But I do want to check in for any other last-minute stories we might have.
Just a silly mod that they have for Doom where you can do Instagram-style selfies.
Oh,
in it.
Lord. Selfies in Doom, though? Wait a
they
minute.
have a selfie stick.
Oh, my God. That is actually the dumbest news I think I've ever heard on this show.
I don't think I can roll my eyes any harder without causing myself physical pain.
I did see this pretty cool Kickstarter that's also out there. If you look at it's called Strafe. It's a procedurally generated 1996 style FPS game that's extremely gory.
Oh, God.
Extremely gory as in,
in 96, like 96
Pixel blood.
Pixel blood, yeah.
Yeah, so, but it looks pretty funny. And the Kickstarter video that they have for it is just fucking hilarious. And,
Awesome.
And also extremely gory, but
Nice.
in like that kind of 90s style commercial sense, but they take it way too far.
Yeah. That's
Face
awesome.
melting.
That's awesome. All right, well, that is going to do it for another episode of Orange Lounge Radio. I'm about to go around and get everybody's final thoughts for the night, but I do want to I want to thank Don and Austin from the Starr Mazer team for joining us on the show tonight. Best of luck in that final push for those last few dollars you need to make the game happen. Our fingers are crossed. Hey, if nothing else, y'all, I want that soundtrack. I'm just saying, I want that soundtrack. So let's cross our fingers and our toes for those guys. I want to thank those guys for being on. Thank you guys for being here and supporting Orange Lounge Radio, whether you were here live and chose to listen to us instead of the Saturday Night Live special. Really appreciate that. Hey, if you're listening on the podcast feed, we appreciate that too.
Don't we have the Oscars we're going up against next week, too?
Yeah, now the Oscars are next week. We lost our guests next week because of the Oscars. We're trying to reschedule them for a future date. Oh, yeah, but we might have a replacement guest, which would be great. So that'd be great.
Well, I was totally disappointed that Neil Patrick Harris decided to bail on us. I can dream.
So I know Sunday night is when a lot of the big shit happens. So we really appreciate you guys that decide to be here live and participate with it. We really, really appreciate you guys. But we also appreciate you podcast folks just as much. Your support keeps this show going. Just if you are listening on the live listeners, we see most of them in our chat room and we get to interact with them. So if you're listening on the podcast, please drop us a line, say hello, send an email, tweet at us, let us know you're out there. We love hearing from people. Don't be shy. We're really nice, unless you're mean to us, then we'll be mean. But we're really nice otherwise. So yeah, and we don't ask for your money or we don't have a big name website backing us up here at Orange Lounge Radio. So all we ask, if you enjoyed what you heard here at Orange Lounge Radio, please tell a friend or two or five about the show. Help spread the word where every gamer has a voice, because we don't know the voices are out there if we don't find them. Like we had Austin tonight, big Bomani fan. Didn't know he was out there until we finally got in touch. So now we know, and hopefully there's plenty more people out there who just don't know of OLR yet who would fit in great here. So help us spread the word. A nice 5-star review on iTunes or Stitcher goes a long, long, long way, and we appreciate those you guys that take the time out to do things like that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, it's time to go around and get everybody's final thought for the night so we can wrap it up here. Dark Sakura, I see you packing the laptop away. We'll start with you.
I was in the middle of pulling my hair back, so come to me later.
All right, then Loki, what is your final thought for tonight?
I'm going to try to figure out what level 2 is going to be. I
You can do
have
it.
a ton of ideas. I have a list of ideas.
How many levels are you doing, out of curiosity?
I don't know.
69.
Well, here's the number of ideas I have right now. So 1, 2, 3, 4.
He's counting. His
I have
mic
20.
is not,
I have 20 so far.
well, 20's a good number. Maybe,
far.
or maybe do like 7 just to get your game out
Well,
there, and then
I have to also look at and see which of these are actually doable. Because
right,
there's
fair
some
enough.
ideas I'm like, well, I may
Good
not
luck.
be able to do that, but we'll try.
make it work. I really want to see the game, but of course I have to take my own advice because I want to get my VOG Jam done, belated as it is. My final thought for the night is I would love to have my voice back tomorrow. That would be very lovely, and I'm feeling very great and thankful for a lot of things, and thank you all who contribute to being here and supporting this show, for contributing to my lovely mood this evening. So I appreciate it. Not every day is a lovely mood, but today I'm certainly feeling it, so thank you all. Dark Soccer, your final thought tonight.
Everyone pull out your iPhones right now and buy Flom. FLOMM. Do the thing. Do it for me.
Do you get
buy some flan? Okay.
flan? I let no. Do you get kickback?
No, I don't, but it's fun.
I understand.
And we need to support more people. This would really mean a lot to me. It would mean a lot to Steve.
You've talked fondly of him for a while now, so I know you really want to see him succeed. So
I do.
Yeah.
So do it for me. It's $3. I will lend you $3.
That's a lot of people to lend $3 to.
I was talking to you, Rob. I'll lend you $3.
Okay. No, I actually thankful. Some friends gave me an iTunes gift card for the holidays, so I have
spend it
money
on
ready to go.
Flom.
All right, should I spend it on Flom 10 times?
Well, you just do it once.
All right.
Jeez, Rob.
All right, that's going to do it here at Orange Lounge Radio for another week. We'll be back in 7 days to do it all again. Thanks so much for listening. Have a wonderful week, everybody. Good night.
You've been listening to Orange Lounge Radio. Orange Lounge Radio is a production of OLR Studios. To join us for a live show, tune into VogNetwork.com Sunday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. The views and opinions expressed in this program do not necessarily reflect those of the staff of Orange Lounge Radio or VOG Network, but you know they were all still true. See you next week.